Today's episode is brought to you by Squarespace. Squarespace is the easiest way to create a beautiful website, blog, or online store for you and your ideas. Squarespace features an elegant interface, beautiful templates, and incredible 24/7 customer support. Try Squarespace at squarespace.com and enter the offer code KINDAFUNNY at checkout to get 10% off. Squarespace. Build it beautiful. What's up, everybody? Welcome to the GameOverGreggy show. I'm one of your hosts, Greg Miller, alongside the producer/seducer, Nick Scarpino.
Cheers, Greg.
Cheers to you. I'm glad you're really prepped for the show with 1/6 a cup of water. That's going to last you the entire time.
If I drink the whole cup of water, then I have to pee.
Spoiler alert, you're going to have to pee.
You drank the whole cup of water. You're going to need to pee.
Looks at me above the rims of his glasses like he is a professor from Harry, like he's Snape from Harry Potter, and no matter what I do, that's very true, actually. McGonagall, maybe. So it's like Professor McGonagall from Harry Potter. No matter what I do, it's just not good enough. It's just not good enough. That's what Colin.
I don't do what you want. I'm just more concerned that you pee a lot. You pee a lot.
I like to
you can talk about how much you drink, but Greg drinks like a fucking camel, and he's not peeing all the time. So I'm just saying that there's something.
Aren't camels known for storing water instead of drinking it?
What do you think? They drink it over? Like, do you think they just drink a little bit at a time and then store it?
I'm just letting you know.
That water would go.
When they get to an oasis, you drink the fucking water, all of it.
Remember when people thought their humps were made of water? Remember when people thought the cheese was the moon?
The
Over
moon
here, the
was
pride
cheese.
of Long Island, Colin Moriarty.
I want you to take your sickly, dying dog and just turn him around so that his face isn't facing me, because I'm afraid I'm going to get his diseases.
The butt end is the business end. You don't want what's coming out the back end getting all up on you.
That thing tooted the other day when I was doing Gamescast, and it cleared. My eyes started watering.
Hey, enough of this moping around business.
Sick,
He's
bruh.
looking mopey as fuck.
Commit to getting better or commit to the white light. But you can't have it both ways.
Do you think we gave him the PAX plague?
I think we did.
Let me see. Let me get a look at him. Let me get a good look at him.
Tell me what's happening, veterinarian Colin. Give me a diagnosis on Portillo's problems here.
Well, his eye. What's interesting about his eyes are red. Like I
Yeah,
thought.
pink eye. He's got.
But it's red eye.
Doggy pink eye?
Yeah, his left eye's all screwed up.
Oh, no.
No reaction. He's still a million degrees. Over here, speaking of a million degrees, the pure one, Tim Gettys.
It's really hot, man.
You're not wearing pants.
I'm not. I decided, fuck it.
Colin and I are in shorts. We usually save the shorts for...
I wear shorts all day in here, except for when we're doing the show.
Yeah.
People, I wear socks and pants. Well, you're gonna have to fucking deal with it today.
It's too hot.
It's way
the
hot.
shirt might not even make it through the
It's
day.
Indian summer in San Francisco. The first.
Racist.
Yeah, whatever. The first. There's about 2 or 3 week period where it's just awful.
Yeah,
And
this is awful.
It's
this
really
is
bad.
Fuck you, Nick.
It's really bad.
Fuck you, because you're all like, I like it. I like the sun
love
on my
it.
body.
That's a great
Now,
impression.
I would have worn shorts today, but I was like, oh, we're filming stuff, so we're gonna wear pants because we're professionals.
But you brought the flip flops.
You're in your boxers.
Yeah.
Colin
Boxer
hasn't
briefs.
worn. I forgot Colin hasn't worn jeans ever since we started doing this
I
channel.
forgot that I'm wearing the shirt too. I was just wearing the shirt for a shoot, but I'm just gonna keep wearing it.
It's fine. So yeah, I mean, I wish I was in shorts right now.
Dude, you could.
Just
I
take
wore
off your
flip-flops.
pants.
Right now.
What am I wearing? Hold on.
You wearing your chubbies? What are you wearing?
Pink boxers, not bad. No, I did wear Chubbies all weekend though, and I'm very impressed with that brand. They're
Chubbies are so amazing.
Chubbies are shorts, right?
yes.
What's so special about these shorts?
They're extra
They're short
short
shorts.
That doesn't sound good. No.
Here's why they're great. Because most shorts that you wear right now, they go way too far below the knee. Way too far below the knee. And
I like that though.
Yes, but because you're tall. If you're short, they make you look even shorter.
Oh, like you're wearing almost pants.
Yeah, it makes like someone's like, oh, he's either wearing like really short pants or really long shorts. I can't tell which one. There's cargo in them, but he does go to PAX, so maybe he's just wearing cargo pants. I can't tell. The cool thing about the Chubbies is that they cut off where right
Lord.
where Magnum PI shorts used to come
Oh
off.
no, those are way too high.
Which-
we
no,
can't
that's-
bring that
that-
back.
No, it's brought back.
it's brought back, Greg.
There's no stopping. These are the bro shorts.
So I want you
It's
to
what all
just
the cool kids are wearing.
I want you to just appreciate what their tagline is. Their tagline is "Skies out, thighs out."
That's good. That's good. I appreciate
And
that.
I said that about 400 times over the weekend because I was wearing them all over the weekend up in Calistoga.
What does your wife think of all this?
She loves them. Well, for me, they actually look okay. They don't go that. They're like, here's your knee. They're about right here. It's not bad.
Okay.
I mean, above the
However-
knee is bad for people like us. We
No,
think this. We're like,
you're fine. You would actually be fine. It makes you look a lot more. It's a lot more flattering for your form,
Hold on, like
especially if you're tall.
do me like you're an Italian tailor here, and show me how high these.
Okay.
Do them like an Italian.
Pull 'em up.
Traders.
Pull them up.
Fucking buckles.
No, pull them up at the waist.
Oh, I don't think they'll go that high.
Yeah.
Just
don't
keep
do that.
rolling. Keep going. Keep going. Keep going. Keep going. They're about right there. That's about where
That's
they're
not
at.
that high, I guess. That's too high. See,
You got great thighs.
I
You
know
could
I
you
do.
could totally wear these. You could wear the chubbies.
Colin just grazed my balls.
I think I did just touch your balls there.
look at how solid.
Yeah, you
these
could
thighs
totally
are.
wear them.
Tree
Those
trunks.
are solid thighs. You got
Now-
some Chun Li's.
Let me ask you a question real quick.
Yeah.
How did you feel about me just touching your junk there a
I
little
didn't
bit?
mind it. I'm used to it.
Okay, I just wanted to
We've
make
been
sure.
around a long time.
Sure.
There's little things we have.
I wanted to just throw in real quick. I have a saying too, and it's "You're on Earth, dicks out." That's my saying.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Just always. That.
So the only people that are that don't have to adhere to that saying are the astronauts,
Right,
who
exactly.
are floating in orbit.
Year in space
What's
guy.
his name? Guy Kelly.
Yeah, Scott Kelly.
Scott Kelly?
Yeah, Scott Kelly.
He's up there in the space station. He's got to keep his dick inside his space
He's just
suit.
oh damn it. I'm good.
Can't wait to
Do
get
you
back.
do you follow NASA by chance on,
Yes.
on Twitter?
I just started to because of you.
He tweets out pictures all the time
Yeah.
from the space station. He tweeted out this awesome picture of San Francisco. Did you see it?
No.
Of, like San Francisco from space. It was pretty cool.
Everybody tweeted him. I want him on to Skype into the show.
That'd be
Because they
awesome.
have him doing all sorts of goofy stuff. He can Skype into our dumb shows.
Yeah, I'm sure.
From
that-
space?
You want
Yeah,
him to
sure,
do-
NASA
you want
would
him to
love
do
that.
drop-
NASA's trying to get hip and current again, man.
I like that.
They got that guy. Remember the Mohawk guy from the Mars Project? They got that guy.
No.
You know what I'm talking about. Remember this guy? He was a yeah. Okay, good.
Tony Hawk.
It was Tony Hawk.
Tony Hawk of the Mars project, of the NASA Mars
He's
project.
just sitting. He's in one of the lab coats and he's got like the skateboard behind his head,
Yeah.
just observing. He's like,
Hold
yeah,
on, let's
man.
just appreciate this for a second. Nick, why did you go to Tony Hawk?
Because his last name is Hawk.
Was it? Was
And-
it? Or did he just say Mohawk?
No, that's what it is.
He said Mohawk, and I said
NASA
Tony
guy,
Hawk.
Tony Hawk.
It's not.
It
There's
makes
no
sense.
depth here, Tim.
Oh, I know.
It's a
I just-
one-to-one word
I get it.
association.
With-
Mohawk.
He said
Tony
Hawk.
Hawk.
With Mars being a third, as massive as the Earth, Tony Hawk wants to go to Mars so he can get some gnarly fucking ass.
Yeah.
Remember when he did a 900? Now he's gonna do a fucking 18,000.
It's like gravity code.
He's gonna launch and just go into orbit.
Yeah. Do you remember in Tony Hawk 2? That was one of the cheat codes. Turn off gravity, and you can just kind of fly away.
I don't remember.
It's
that,
fun. It was good. It was great.
but I'm gonna have to take your word for it.
Yeah.
If you didn't know, ladies and gentlemen, this is the Game Over Greggy show. Each and every week, 4, sometimes 5 best friends gather on this table, each bringing a random topic of discussion for your amusement. If you like that, go to patreon.com/kindafunny. Toss us a few bucks and get each and every episode early on Friday. If you don't have any bucks to toss, no big deal. Wait it out. Monday through Thursday, we go to youtube.com/kindafunny, topic by topic, day by day. Entire thing posts for free on Friday. And you get it as an MP3 as well, which a lot of you enjoy as you drive cars and horses.
Yeah, horses have sound systems. these days.
horses.
And you
Crazy.
drive them.
Horses are stupid.
Horses are my new jam. I'm gonna tell you.
'Cause of Metal
was
Gear?
like- I started playing Metal Gear, and I was like, "Oh, a fucking horse! What am I gonna do with this horse?" Now, handy. First of all, for getting around Afghanistan.
Yeah, a lot happening out there.
A lot happening out there. Not really vehicle safe in a lot of the areas. You got a lot of rocks. Discovered, because I still have no idea what I'm doing with the controls. I just constantly hit X. That if you hit X, you can lean over on the horse.
Right.
And if you do it the right way, you can just walk right by people and be like, "Oh, look, a horse! Get out of here!"
Yeah.
And you're like, "No, it's not just a horse."
So stupid. I remember when they
I'm
showed
on
that in the
the
trailer.
horse.
I was like, that is
They
the
horse
dumbest
stealth,
thing.
they
It's
call it,
fucking
right?
awesome. How come the horse poops though? Kevin taught me you can say "do it" and it poops.
Yeah,
Why?
when you level up your relationship with D-Horse, you get that ability, and then you can use it as a tactical advantage. If you have it poop on the road, cars will run it over and spin out of control.
Really?
Yeah.
I love Metal Gear.
Yeah.
I love Metal Gear so goddamn much.
really dumb.
But the horses remind me of something, Colin.
Yeah.
Like about a week ago, we were talking at some point. I don't remember the context of this, but you brought something up to me that blew my mind. You're just like, think about this. We just ride horses.
Yeah, we just ride horses. Like, this is the fucked up thing. You have dogs and cats.
This is not the topic.
You have dogs and cats, and like we domesticated them. Dogs were domesticated a long time ago when they were wolves, and it's really fascinating. Actually, Neil deGrasse Tyson has a Nova about.
It's Cosmos, wasn't it?
Cosmos,
Yeah,
rather.
Cosmos.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Nova's on the brain. Cosmos about how we domesticated, wolves and stuff like that. And it's fascinating. And then cats were domesticated like, a few thousand years later. But we have these animals and we love them and we take care of them. They basically, like, Portillo doesn't do fucking anything, right? He's just a total, just like any other dog. They're
My God. I wish that you guys could see Portillo right
I'll take
now.
a photo and send it to Kevin.
Like-
He doesn't feel well.
He's doing the least I've ever seen him do.
He's not feeling well.
But like any dog or cat, you know what I mean? Like, we take care of them. They're our friend and everything. But then we have these horses. We leave them in stables
they like it.
outside. And then we just ride them. Like, we're riding.
How the fuck did
like,
that happen?
Like, it's incredible because a lot of people. The most fascinating thing to me is that horses come from the Eurasian continent, and we brought them here. But horses are like really associated with like North American Indians and stuff like that. But they weren't even using them until the 1500s. You know what I mean? It's like that's so fascinating. It's the same thing with like how we associate the tomato with Italy, but the tomato is indigenous to North America and was brought over to Italy, and that's when the tomato sauce was made. You know what I mean?
Interesting. I
Or
didn't
like
know
how spaghetti is considered a pasta is Chinese and was brought back. That kind of thing to Italy, and now like all this stuff's associated. So we have these horses that everyone's just riding. First bareback riding, and then just like then they realize that they can put spurs on their boots and fucking kick them and fucking
really hard.
It's
insane,
it's
man.
kind of like when
Horses
you think about
are the
it,
homies.
it's kind of fucked up when you
It
think
is
about
very
it.
fucked up.
But like that's what they're used to. That's their natural condition. I have no problem with it. We have thousands of cattle that are killed every day just to feed us, and I'm fine with that. So.
On some level, though, the domestication of animals is an incredibly like fucked up thing, right? Like just because you want a pet, and I'm not saying this is a bad thing because I've had dogs and I love dogs.
Well, no,
but because
you're not pointing at me. I mean, like, you're talking about generations and generations and generations ago.
But I'm just saying, like, if you think about it, if you just think about it from a purely like semantic point of view, it's kind of messed up. You have a little slave in your house that can't leave, doesn't have the intellect to do anything other than be your lapdog for all intents and purposes.
Sound familiar, Kevin?
Yeah, I know.
Kevin can
Why
leave.
is Kevin the first thing that comes to mind?
You have a literal lapdog, and you think about Kevin.
Isn't that kind of messed up though? Like, I mean, I see people that are like, and then you discipline the dog, and you have to like you
get mad at it when
physically
it poops places.
Like, yeah, it does what it naturally does, and you're like, oh, I'm so angry at you that you don't think and act like a human being should think and act, even though you have a brain the size of a walnut that's in there, and only maybe half of it works at any given time. And yet I'm gonna get pissed at you and slap you or spray you with a bottle or throw you off a bridge.
Or kick you off a bridge like
Anchorman. You destroyed something I love. Now I'm gonna destroy something you love.
Bastard, no. It's what my favorite thing, and I don't like to think about it too much because it does remove the pleasure of having a pet. Is that we give them human qualities and like give them little voices and that they think but like when like Greg does his voice for Portillo's just like, I have no idea what the fuck you're talking. He's just like. That's why, like, I tell Greg, I'm like, it's his pet, right? He has the right to make the voice for the pet.
Sure.
But, like, in my mind, having lived with Portillo for 5 years, he has no, like, he's so dumb that, like, it's just silent. Like, he has nothing to say. He just appears and is just, like, standing there.
So it's like Solid Snake in Metal Gear 5. Or not Solid, Big Boss.
And he just looks amazing.
Yeah, he looks like I felt about 3 days ago.
It's too hot for him, too. And not only is he sick, got the sniffles. He's got the red eye, and it's a fucking million degrees in San Francisco.
He doesn't have his pants on either.
No,
He really doesn't.
he has to wear that fur coat all the time. Nick, what's your topic?
So we've been traveling a lot, right, Greg?
Yeah, we have.
And if there's been one constant, though, is that no matter where we go in the world, we always come back to good old SFO, which is an airport that I actually particularly care. I care for SFO.
Because when we fly Terminal 2, it's rad.
It's
Now,
not
let me
bad.
stop you for 1 second here. Why is it O? Why isn't it? People call it SF International.
Well, I'll tell you why. Every airport has its 3-letter designator, and some of them are way weirder than that. So SF, like, they just eventually add letters
Why
in
is
there.
it LAX?
Yeah, that's exactly right. It's another thing.
X
They
gonna
have
give
to
it to
have
you.
they have to have 3. And there's probably some reasons. Like, I remember, so when my mom worked for Delta, when she was an executive at a Delta connector, like way back in the day, they used to have these really old computers where the pilots would go and check the weather, and you can check the weather in any. That's all these computers did. and you just type in 3-letter codes, and then it would tell you the weather, and they would just like they would type it in, look, and then go to the airplanes or whatever. And so I used to just sit there and like just do like every combination I could think of, and you'd come up with some crazy fucking places in the world, like Yellowknife in fucking Canada or something like that.
Yellowknife?
Yeah, and
That sounds like some Metal Gear shit.
Medicine
right there.
Hat or something like that. Anyway, the point is that I learned when I was a kid that none of the symbols make any sense. There are fucking whacked out symbols that have literally nothing to do with the location because those symbols were taken or whatever.
It's just so
it can't be SF.
But SFI. Like, they literally say, when you walk in, you hear the goddamn thing. Welcome to San Francisco International Airport.
I'll see if that's taken.
It might have been taken.
Maybe. Sorry.
And it wasn't international when it started, I think. That's the other thing.
Oh.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, I was just, that makes sense. It was just,
SFI is Safi Airport.
Anyway, so my question is for you guys, you
know
know,
where that is.
since I've spent a considerable amount of time in the airport and often thought, why do I even bother leaving this place?
Exactly.
Because I'm just going to be back here next week. Why do I bother paying rent? Why don't I just stay in this airport for as long as possible until someone finally realizes that I've been here and kicks me out? How long do you think you could legitimately live? I don't mean just like hang out. I mean live in San Francisco International Airport
Now-
before someone figured it out.
This started on our way out on the last trip when we were
Yeah.
coming home from PAX. We started talking. Colin, you were already home, so you weren't part of this conversation. We
Just
eventually
us three.
tabled it just to do this, so we can do this topic.
we wanted to hear
so
your
here's what the conditions are. You are in that United. You're in Terminal 1, isn't it?
So that's the question. You're in San Francisco Airport.
You're
Yeah,
not in
that's-
Terminal 2, which is smaller and more open and everything else. You're in the one that Southwest shares with United, isn't that
Yeah.
right?
Yes.
And
So
so
the
it's
shitty one.
huge. Yeah, but it's huge and
Right.
it's sprawling.
Right.
Lots of nooks and crannies.
Sure.
And then how long you can stay there
Okay.
before someone realizes this is happening and you get kicked out? Because
To continue the parameters, you have a bag that's
you
carry on.
Yeah.
So you have clothes. You have things
You
you,
have
can
your
bring in with
computer.
you. Yeah.
You're packed like you would be going to any trip. You have your two carry-ons. And it's not. I don't even think it's a question of how long can you. I guess that is more of the question: is how long are you going to do this? Because I thought we should do a video about this where we actually go and do it. But I'm like, I'll get really bored because
Yeah.
I'm going to be in there for fucking ever.
'cause that's the thing,
They're
when you-
never going to know.
You first think about it, and you're like, okay, it's an airport, the security, and this and that. There's no way
There's no
that we
security.
could last that long. And then you stop and you think about it, and you're like, actually, I think that we could play this off for a while.
Right.
So then it's like, I don't know, I think we could stay longer than we'd want to stay.
Yeah, that's the
as a
problem.
joke.
I really think you could stay way longer than you wanted to stay. Because the thing is, it's big. Even if you're at home and you have no idea, just think of a big airport, big terminal, and like I think there's at least 2 branches, or it might even be a.
I mean, it's just like a long U shape.
Right, but I mean, like it does branch off into 2
Oh, it
distinct
does. That's
sides
less of a
when
U,
you
it's
come
more
in.
like a Y.
When you come in, exactly.
Yeah.
So you figure you just go every morning. You come in, you go to the very last gate, and then you start working your way in, and then over to the other side, and then back again.
So we're thinking about this. What are the potential issues? Because we were talking, and we think that brushing your teeth / showering in the sinks would be the
Only
biggest
showering
issue.
in the sink is an issue. That's the only one that's an issue.
But again, I think
brushing your
if you- I
teeth.
think if
I've seen people brush their teeth.
I know,
at
but
airports.
every day.
Yeah, but if you do
But
it
I-
at like 3 in the morning, no one's in there.
And
No one's
that's
gonna know.
The thing about it is that there are legitimately commuters who go back and forth every day from here to LAX or vice versa, Burbank or whatever. So it's not going to raise suspicions that you're there every morning. If you keep a routine of whatever, you can even be there of like to the coffee person of like, oh, what up, Deb? Off
Yeah.
again. See you later. You know what I mean? Like they're not going to be.
Well, this is I'm glad you identified because I was thinking my mind originally went to JFK. Because you could stay in JFK indefinitely.
Just
Like,
period.
because
you could take up residence. in
You could.
JFK.
You absolutely could. JFK is fucking huge. And it has like places where you can sleep, like you can rent beds, you can like shower, you can do all these things. So I'm like, if it's JFK or Heathrow or Toronto, which is another great
Yeah,
example
yeah.
because you can go to hotels that are in the airport.
Yeah.
In Toronto, then like you could just stay forever. So if you know, and then you think of like Edward Snowden who stayed in Moscow airport for like months, but everyone knew he was
But he
there.
was there. They knew he was there.
So that particular terminal, I think you could probably get away with it for a week before anyone even said
Really?
anything. Yeah.
I say a month at least. I think because
You
what's
think
gonna,
a month?
What's
I
gonna
think we could last a month.
The thing that would trip it up is just it's going to be some random thing where somebody goes off of their schedule or you for some reason deviate from yours. Because if it's just you figure you go there in the morning. And I say there in the morning, whatever. Your schedule is that at 6 a.m., right? You go over to the southwest side and you sit down and you get your coffee and you bagel and you sit there and you use your computer, use the free Wi-Fi. You're an active commuter. You're doing these different things, right? And then you wait there. I say you wait there 4 to 5 hours. You can chill out in that one spot before you need to move on to the next one a little bit down the line. And I'm talking about going closer down to that Max's, whatever, right?
Yeah.
That grill thing right there you always pass. Or if you want to split in half and just do, half the day on that side and then half the day on the other side. And then at night's when it gets fishy. Night is when you're going to need to walk around a little bit and look for some other terminal that has activity, other people sleeping.
Yeah.
And then you have to fill into it.
I mean, that's the thing, because like at night there's less flights.
Right.
But there's also more people that are like, oh, my flight got delayed, so I need to wait till the next morning.
Right.
But if you're doing that every single night,
And this is where I was talking about cats come into play. Hats and facial grooming come into play.
you said cats.
I thought you said cats too. I was like,
This is where cats come into play.
When you- if they
Someone
ca- if
gets
they-
fishy, you let the cats out.
the cat out.
Literally let the cats out of
Cats
the
out
bag,
of the bag,
and they
yeah.
got their own problems there. They don't have time for this. But no, like you and like Tim, you're a great example. You go in there, you start it, right? And yeah, like when things start getting weird and you need to sleep, you put on a hat and you change into a regular t-shirt and you lay
Yeah.
down and you're not in your normal Tim garb. And then 3 days in, when Deb is starting to recognize you a lot, you go and you shave it into a mustache, and then you shave off the mustache. You know what I mean? Like there's all these different ways I think to make the little changes that would keep, because it's gonna be these daily grunts. When you're through on the other side, like who do you see from security? Like who do you know what I mean?
So
Like,
that's my question, is that, we have the TSA, we have the security, and that's obviously a huge visual deterrent for anyone that's trying
But that's
to do
the
anything.
gatekeeper.
Right. So when you come to the gate, you're trying to get into the actual airport proper, you have to have a ticket, you have to have your ID, you have to get scanned, they have to do the hands thing to Tim every single time.
Every
It
Every
really
time.
happens. I'm curious why that is.
So I mean,
That
I've
has to be
started
a reason.
asking every single time. So for people that don't know, even though we've explained it 10
Hands.
million times, we
Hands.
get through the TSA security thing, and then you walk through the dumb thing when you put your feet on the yellow markers, and you have to put your hands up and look like a goddamn fugitive. The thing goes around you. You step out, and then they pause a second, and then they're like, all right, you can go, you can go, you can go. Every single time for me, they need to pat down my left armpit, my dick area,
Yeah, your crotchal area.
and then they need to check my hands.
So the crotch area is because you wear you have briefs under there that are bunching up to some degree, and your penis is way too big.
That's not it.
Dang.
So
I don't think
that's-
that's it, though.
That's what they told. Like they walked
That's
away
what
and
they
they were
told
like,
you?
"It's just because that guy's got that big dick."
Okay, so here's the thing. I got the good
That's what
dick,
they just keep
but
saying.
when every single time now I ask them, I'm like, how come this keeps happening? Like, why my hands are like, there's chemicals. I'm like, that's not helping me. Like, what chemicals? What can I do to
How
change
can they
this?
know that,
Your
though?
hair gel, your wash.
And- but it's like,
What the
it's
fuck are they talking about?
At every
I hate
fucking
the
time.
TSA.
It's
There
so
are chemicals.
stupid,
What
man.
the fuck does that mean? And how can you possibly know that?
and it starts getting super hostile. And they always do this thing now where whenever I ask a question, like, do you want to be in a private room?
Well,
no,
no.
I don't want you taking me away from my friends.
It's because the reason the guy asked you last time when we were going through SFO, and was it for I think it was for PAX,
yeah, it was TC.
was because I believe Greg got in on it too, and potentially even Kevin. Maybe it wasn't you. Maybe it was just me and Kevin. Started heckling you,
I mean, you always do this.
and to the point where it was not even subtle. I was just like, check his dick.
No, that's all
Make
he does.
sure you check
Nick
his
just
dick.
stands there. It's his dick. You should check his
It's his
dick.
dick. He's
Hey, make
hiding
sure
it.
you don't forget his dick.
I think, and I quote, I said, I think he's hiding something up his dick.
yeah.
Captain.
And he was.
You should definitely
Oh, yeah.
check
Captain.
it, Captain. The guy's like, I'm not a captain.
Oh,
so
man.
to be fair, when he said, do you want a private screening? It was to get you away from us.
Yeah.
Not because he was like worried or anything. I think he was just like,
No, I get that.
Do you feel bad because your friends are actually encouraging me to check out your urethra?
No, I get it, but it's like,
With my
no,
thumb.
I don't want that.
My thumb,
And what
goddamn.
bothers me though is it's like, I'm like, what are you checking for? And they're like, I don't know. I'm like, then why are you checking? What the fuck?
You're
Yeah.
asking the
Shit.
geniuses of TSA about what they don't know what the fuck they're
Yeah,
doing.
it's annoying.
They have no idea what they're doing.
So
They haven't caught a single terrorist ever.
we
Period.
know about.
They've never caught a terrorist.
That's fair enough.
We take our shoes off because the guy got on the plane and tried to blow the fucking plane up with his shoes. That's why we take our shoes off. So that
I
guy
remember.
just got straight up through.
Yeah. Yeah.
So they don't catch anyone. They're a bunch of fucking assholes. Anyway, go on.
So you got that barrier of security. Although big shout
There's
out.
no security. That doesn't matter.
shout
You're
out-
checking
It's
less a
in.
barrier
You
of
own it. You
security.
have a ticket. You've bought a ticket
Yeah.
to go to wherever, the cheapest flight.
Jackson Hole, Wyoming.
There you go.
Right. But once you get through the airport, see, I think that the TSA is that like everyone looks at it and goes, okay, well, it's TSA. We've had our experiences. Maybe they're good at security. Maybe they're not good at security. But it gives you that like that false sense of we're
Yeah.
done with security, right? And so once you get through, you don't see a lot of operatives, but I guarantee they're there.
There's
they
the
have
real
to
security.
be there, right?
Because TSA is obviously
Sky
not
marshals.
the real security. They're just a bunch of
Sky Mar-
assholes standing there to look important. But there must be real
There's got
security.
to be sky marshals somewhere like
Yeah,
throughout
the
the
I've
cameras
seen
airport.
guys with
everywhere.
badges in there, but I just don't think there's enough of them that one guy's going to be like, huh.
Well, I mean, there's definitely like some dude sitting in front of a shit ton of monitors.
Yeah,
You know?
yeah.
It's that guy.
So
Sure,
that's
he's
the
gonna get
guy
us.
you got to trick because
Yeah.
that guy has nothing better to do. That's his job, is to look for those inconsistencies, right? Of like, wait a minute, I've seen that guy a lot. And then he rewinds the footage of the day. He's like, bring up monitor 4. And it all goes to one big thing. And then it's like enhance, yeah. And then it goes to your face. And then, of course, if it's Tim, it's right to his dick. And it's like, is what's happening with Tim's dick. Look into the urethra. There's the bomb. So that's the guy that I feel like we're underestimating this, because while we have, I think, probably a spot-on estimation of what the TSA is capable of, I think that there's real airport security that's out there.
But I mean, the thing about it, and this is totally racially loaded, stick with me, is that Tim's the perfect guy. Generic white dude. I'm too tall. I'm too bulbous.
I'm the perfect dude for this job.
Too good looking.
Not just in general.
Huh?
Colin and I are too good looking.
Exactly. Tim's generic white dude, mid-20s, whatever. And I think that he's not going to raise a stink when he's sitting at
without me
Southwest.
having to walk through the thing, no one would know about my dick.
Exactly.
Just looking at me. It's an unassuming
But
dick.
I think you'd be able to hang out on one side, move to the other, and so you're talking about over days. This security guy who is trading on a shift has to be so on the ball to be like, this generic white dude looks like, I mean, you look like every other tech
I'm the
developer.
default character in a video game.
Exactly.
You know?
It's true.
Put on a checkered plaid shirt, and you fucking are the CEO of Twitter or Facebook or whatever. You're one of these other guys. You know what I mean?
Also, I feel like you're at an advantage in San Francisco because you look so hipster. If you were to fly to back to, I guess, to Dallas maybe.
I stand out in Dallas.
Dude, yeah, you must stand out like a sore
You'd be
thumb.
saying hella, and they'd be like, well, this guy's talking about God. Get over there.
The great thing about you is, though, if questioned, I feel like you would easily get out of it by either using that combination of sometimes you turn on the aw shucks, I don't know what I'm doing attitude, even though you fucking very well know what you're doing. And you get out of shit. I don't know. I mean, I'm
just
supposed
a
to
dude.
take a.
I'm just generic white
dude.
dude.
Oh, you know what?
He's just a generic white dude.
He's just a dude.
Let him go.
The bigger question that we're ignoring, and I'm a little confused about this, is the motive just to do it?
Yeah.
In other words, that's not really an effective motive. That
We had an idea.
Yeah.
Colin. We had if we could prove that you could last longer than a month, we were going to give up the rent at our respective houses and just work from the airport, and just not have to pay rent.
we could do that.
anymore.
JFK, I'm telling you, JFK is so. You guys know what I'm talking about, right? JFK.
Yeah,
I mean,
JFK 's
JFK
crazy.
is fucking massive.
But the difference with that, though, is we're talking in a terminal. So
Yeah,
you're not allowed
but-
to leave and come back. You have to stay in the
But
terminal.
once you're in one of the terminals, you're in. I mean, these places are fucking they're massive.
Yeah, Dallas, for
The
instance.
DFW you could get around too.
You could easily, because it's got the tram that goes all the way around to every terminal, and it's huge. And so all you'd have to do is literally just get on the tram, go 2 more stops, and you'd be in a whole different set of people that work everywhere.
All right, let's take this a step further, because we've established the fact that we think we can last a while.
Sure.
Could we do this show?
No.
And help? Do you think we could do one episode?
Yeah, no, you could do an
Do you think we could do an
the
episode
show.
of this and Gamescast?
Same day?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah,
all
I think
that's
you
fine.
can absolutely get away
Okay.
with it.
That you could totally do. This is what I'm talking about, drawing attention. If all of a sudden it's like, oh man, those guys who did that were doing that show are back doing their show again, and wait a second.
Okay,
I saw them last night. Well, I saw them yesterday
What if we
morning.
had
Wait a
lav
second.
mics, right? And
Yeah.
we didn't necessarily sit like this. We're backs against each other.
Maybe even more attention is being drawn to us. Then.
Just randomly talking.
Why are those guys randomly talking to each other? And they're all
Well,
sitting,
if we broke
they're
into
all sitting and
twos-
we all have newspapers. And,
If we break into pairs of 2 and sit, and like those random seats that aren't with each other, it looks like each 2 of us are having conversations, but we're having a conversation together.
Sure, but see, again, you're blowing this up. And this is just if you want to stay there for as long, because the way this ends, right, is comedically, no matter what.
Yeah.
They finally come over. They're like, "Excuse me, sir, can you come with me or whatever?" You're like, "Yeah, no problem." And they go. I say as soon as they ask you any question, and I don't mean a pass. You okay, sir? That kind of thing. As soon as they take you in a room and seat, and like, "We've noticed you've never left the airport. What's going on?"
I'm just
you
a
go,
dude.
I have a bet with my friends of how long I could last in the airport, and I've lasted X days.
Yeah.
And that's it. And I think they're gonna go, "What?" And
And
like,
here's the
yeah,
thing.
it's just we're a dumb YouTube channel.
Is that illegal?
No,
That's what. I was gonna say. I was gonna say
loitering.
loitering in an airport without a ticket. Or
No, with the ticket.
No, you're not gonna. I mean, unless you're gonna keep buying a ticket, your plane is eventually gonna leave, and then you were there. They're probably gonna be it's a Class B felony, 5 to 8 years in a federal penitentiary.
Pound me in the ass, federal
My
prison.
God. But do you
They're like,
think that we
"Sir,
could
you're
record
going
the
to
show
Guantanamo
in
Bay."
prison?
No, I don't think
Okay.
we get to record
No.
the show in prison.
I think that they would. I think that they would walk you out and tell you just not to come back. I don't think they would probably try to punish you, depending on the threshold of how long you were able to actually stay in there. So, say if you were there for 2 days, I think they're just like, get the fuck out of here. If you're there for a week, they're putting you in jail. If you're there for a month, they're like, please don't tell anyone this. We're just gonna get you a car. We're gonna send you home. Please
Here's
don't
a free
report
ticket
this.
to anywhere you want to go.
Anywhere
in the
you want to
US.
go.
Please don't let them know that this is how
fucking
bad it is.
embarrassing. Yeah. That's my theory. I think we can go at least. I think we can go easily a week.
I think a week easy. Yeah.
Based on the fact that I spent a day or 2 days almost in Chicago Airport, O'Hare Airport,
Jesus, yeah.
because I missed the flight and I was just like, I'm just gonna sleep here, and not one person said anything to me.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure it can go a long time before anyone even.
I feel like
questions
the
it.
airport is so many cogs making up the machine that nobody's cog is to be like, that guy's sleeping there. I think I saw him 2 nights ago. I'm gonna go look at all of this. No, they're not worried about that.
Right.
Why would they be worried about this guy who just doesn't leave the airport?
Also, I have this feel like I have it in my brain that the airport security looks like that room in Jason Bourne that they always go back to,
Sure.
like the SAT room, like what's the situation room, whatever it was, where it's like a gigantic bank of monitors, and like at one point the head of security is like, I need everyone to clear the room, and then his right hand man's like, you heard him, clear the room, let's go, people, come on, time is money or whatever, and everyone gets up and he just looks at the board for like, this motherfucker's been in here for a month.
Yeah. Man.
Yeah,
I think we could do it.
I think we could do it for a long
But
time.
why? What
Well,
is
here's
the
the thing,
motive?
you always
Why
get a
not?
message that's like, oh, if
Write a
you see
book.
any suspicious bags, let people know. If you see a suspicious person, it's like the people aren't even
Generic
going
white
to be
dude
there
ain't
long
gonna-
enough
no,
to notice
exactly,
because they're getting on
exactly.
their planes and shit. I don't know, man. I think we could do it for a long, long time.
Yeah.
I'd go
Especially if
crazy
you keep
though,
to
hearing
yourself.
those goddamn messages over and over.
gotta keep to
How come
yourself.
they always do like this? It's like the same 3 messages.
Because
And
those
it's
are
like,
the
we
only
have
things
the-
you need to know.
What do we need to know then? We need to know that if there's a suspicious bag,
Yeah,
Let-
see
let
something, say
people know.
something. Yeah. Welcome to San Francisco.
welcome to SF.
We have a yoga room.
We do have a yoga room, and then there's the
yoga
thing that if you're a family member of someone in the service,
Service,
you can
yeah,
go to this room or whatever, which always surprises me because it's like, is there that many people
Yeah.
that they need to have that as one of the messages, not just like a thing on the wall or something?
I think it's good
weird.
PR.
No, for sure. I just think it's interesting that that's one of their only messages that they replay.
I'm gonna go you guys one further on this. This would be a follow-up question to my original question. How long do you think they'd notice? It would take them to notice that you don't work for the airline. Like if you just brought an outfit with you and just started.
Oh, catch me if you can.
Yeah,
style,
catch
you're
me if you
walking
can style.
around.
That's illegal.
Okay,
That you
so
would go
that's
for
the
Don't do
line.
that when everybody at home.
All right.
You ever
But
see that video of Improv Everywhere where they go into Best Buy and they're all wearing khakis with the blue shirt, like a blue polo?
No.
It's so funny.
all right, everybody, you watch that after you watch this entire show. Colin,
Yes.
what's your topic?
I want to talk about Donald Trump.
I know
The
of him.
Donald.
Big-
But I don't really have anything to say per se about him. I don't have any agenda.
Owner of the Mavericks, Shark Tank. That's all I know about him.
Does he do
Not
Shark
Donald
Tank?
Trump. No, not Donald Trump. That's Mark Cuban,
Oh,
who is a supporter, I think, of Donald Trump.
really?
Yeah.
Okay.
As far as I know, yeah. He said something that was like supportive of him or something. I don't know.
Yeah.
This was some time ago. I don't really have an agenda with this. The reason I brought this up is A, I needed a topic for the show here, GameOverGreggy
That's
show.
how it works, yeah.
And B, a lot of people, like literally, I would say at this point, hundreds of people have asked me to talk about Donald Trump. Now, I'm not really going to say anything about him
What do
per
you
se.
think of him? They asked you to talk about him, not us. We're a bunch of
well-
idiots.
I'm gonna say this to back it up to the last topic. The beginning of the last topic is that Colin was right. I do have to pee. I'll be right back.
Oh my God.
You're the worst.
You
I
are
saw
really
him
bad.
drop the hand, and I was like, what? Is he really that passionate
I'm
about
kind
Donald
of
Trump?
worried about you.
Can you go to the doctor though? You really don't.
No, he doesn't have the beaties.
We have to taste the pee. If it's sweet, then we know.
Kevin.
Is that true? Is pee sweet? If it's...
Saw this on Reddit.
Has to be true.
Yeah. A lot of, it's one of those Reddit stories you
Yeah.
want to believe is true. But yeah, this guy started seeing this girl and they were just fooling around or whatever. Like they're not seriously into like dating or anything, but they were just like fuck buddies
and
or
then he peed
whatever.
in her mouth.
No, she was a squirter, and so he thought this was like the hottest thing ever. But he's like, I'm not a male nurse. What was I don't know. He works in either a doctor or a male nurse, doesn't matter. And he's like, don't get me wrong, I'm in this field, I know biology, I know what squirting is, I know she's just peeing on me or whatever, but it's still hot to me, and I'm da. And then he said that he started to enjoy the taste of everything that was happening because it was kind of sweet. And he said he snapped awake, like as he was falling asleep, he's like, wait, sweet. Her pee is sweet, and then he ran off and got like whatever, took a blood test. She was totally diabetic, like falling, and like he had to get her to the hospital and stuff, the emergency room and all that stuff.
Wow.
Yeah.
All because he squirted,
She squirted.
or she squirted rather, on his face.
Yeah.
We've all been there.
Does it, Kevin? There's a reason you're over there and we're over here because we know the bullshit filter.
I'm not
all
a
right?
doctor and I'm not a scientist, but I don't think it's pee.
It's not.
So
Yeah, I don't think so either.
He said basically.
but
not how
yeah,
that
those aren't doctor terms either.
It's basically pee.
Yeah.
What were we talking about?
Donald Trump.
Right.
Oh, we were talking about how we had a problem with Nick Scarpino's pee schedule.
Right. It's a
It's something
it's a
wrong with
ridiculous
him,
pee schedule.
and he
It's
should go
definitely
get his
something wrong with
prostate checked.
it. I'll check your prostate for you if you want.
Kevin, can you watch Colin check my prostate? Thanks, Kevin.
I'll gladly check your prostate.
What would be the point of having me watch?
Just to make sure he does it right, because you know how to check prostates.
You've been checking mine a lot lately.
So Colin,
Yeah.
Donald Trump.
Right. I'm sorry. I'm like all discombobulated.
Were you guys spent that entire time talking about my bladder?
Yeah,
No,
we don't
no,
want. We
no.
don't want. Yeah, it's this girl squirting. It doesn't matter. Anyways,
okay.
we wanted to just. We don't want to go to a topic without you. Is all.
So people are just curious about what I thought about him, and I'm curious in turn what you guys think about him because he's a incredibly disruptive figure in a good way, I think, and in a bad way. I think actually in a better way than people give him credit for to the political system, and he's a sign of people, especially in the Republican Party, not liking any of their candidates.
What's his approval rating right now?
His
Last time I looked, it was like he had a ridiculous majority.
Well, his approval rating is something different than what he.
Not approval.
How's he polling?
His poll.
Excuse me.
He's got like I think 35 in New Hampshire out of 17 people. Iowa, I think probably a little less, probably like 30. And I think him and Ben Carson's probably
Wait, sorry,
pretty.
what?
What?
He has 35 out of 17.
35% out of 17 candidates.
Gotcha.
So
That's a big majority.
Yeah,
huge
that makes
majority.
sense. Yes.
And then in Iowa, I think it's a little less, like 28 to 30 probably. And I think Ben Carson's pretty competitive there. I don't think Trump's going to win in Iowa, because of the nature of the caucuses and it's just more evangelical.
Heads up, that's the first time I've heard of Ben Carson.
Ben Carson is the we saw him speak the other day. The soft-spoken black guy. You remember? And you asked me who he was. We were watching.
Okay.
Do you not remember this?
I mean, I vaguely remember this but I didn't watch it. You had it on your laptop.
Ben
facing
Carson.
You, and
Ben
I was
Carson's
listening to him.
a world famous neurosurgeon.
Gotcha.
Out of Carnegie Mellon.
He invented the brain.
He was the
Are you
first.
familiar with that, Greg?
I think he was the
well,
first
in passing.
I think he was the first surgeon to successfully separate Siamese
head.
twins, attach it at the head.
Really?
And
That guy, he can't be president. He's too smart.
Well, he's very smart. He's way smarter.
He's
than
way
everyone
too
else on
smart.
stage. But so before I get into it, I just
Sure.
want to say, like, I think that to kind of set to kind of, I like Donald Trump, and I don't mean that as like necessarily a politician. As you guys know, I've been a big fan of Donald Trump for many years because
You
I
freak out
love
for The Apprentice.
I love The Apprentice and I love Celebrity Apprentice. I think Donald Trump is smart. I think that he's a great showman. I think he's an entertainer. I think that he knows exactly what he's doing. I think he's the smartest man in the room most of the time. I think people that deny that don't really know what they're talking about. I don't think you amass a fortune of $10 billion or more.
No, what about the argument that he only? And I already know the counter move to this, but I'll set you up. I'll tee you up here, but don't come at me. What about the counter argument to when people say, "Well, he inherited all his money"?
He didn't inherit all his money. He inherited some money and he inherited advantages, but he made it stronger. And Trump was not a brand until it was him, right? Trump was not Trump until it was Donald Trump, not his father. So, when you have a skyscraper in the most expensive city in the world, New York City, with your name on it, you've done something right. That said, I think that Donald Trump is he's a symptom of an illness with the Republican Party. He is not, I don't want to say categorically he's not going to win the nomination because I think it's becoming more and more certain that he might win the nomination.
Yeah, which is terrible.
Who are the legitimate contenders? Who's it going to come down to?
Trump, Ben Carson's definitely a legitimate contender, and then you have to assume like Jeb Bush and Rubio and maybe Scott Walker and maybe John Kasich. I can't see it being anyone else. So that's like 6 of 17. So you're talking about like sitting governors, and 3 of them are sitting governors. One of them is a neurosurgeon, one of them is a businessman, and then Jeb Bush is an ex-governor. So
Gotcha.
And then Kasich's obviously the governor of Ohio, et cetera and so on. So to me, he's people have been saying it in different ways over and over again about Donald Trump, and it's something it resonates with me as a Republican, which is we don't like our own party and we don't like our own candidates, and we're sick of them. The fact of the matter is we elect Republicans and they don't do anything. They just don't govern. So the major problem here is that unlike the Democratic Party, which is not an amalgamation of many groups, it's really a kind of a groupthink. And I don't mean that as an insult. Like the Democratic Party is very cohesive. They have a set of principles that 90% of them believe in, right? Unless you're like a Reagan Democrat or something like that. That's basically what you are. The Republicans are libertarian, paleoconservative, Rockefeller conservatives, neoconservatives, evangelicals, Like, and they all have. I always say it's like a Mexican standoff between all of them all the time.
Mm-hmm.
Like the libertarians hate the fucking evangelicals hate the paleocons hate the neocons. You know, like, and at some point we like put our guns down. We're like, fine, Mitt Romney.
All right,
You know?
we're all going with Romney.
Yeah, we gotta have
Romney
someone.
is
We
the
good?
choice.
We good?
All
Yeah.
right.
And that's the way it goes. And what it's produced over time, what people don't realize is that the Republicans have lost 5 of the last 6 presidential elections by popular vote. And the only popular vote we've won was in 2004 since Clinton. So 92, 96, 2000, 2004, 2008, and then 2012. So I guess it's actually going to start with 96. So 96, you know, et cetera and so on. We lost all of them, except for one. And there's an existential problem with the party, which is that the party's core platform, I do believe, is an exciting platform and a platform that resonates with a lot of people. And if we focus on that platform of small government and unintrusive government, low tax and stuff, we'll be fine. But then because everyone's always in a Mexican standoff with each other, where they're all pointing guns at each other and all hate each other, you end up with candidates that are not appealing. And so you end up with like Bob Dole or John McCain or, you know, I like Mitt Romney, but Mitt Romney was certainly, you know, looked at as that kind of candidate. And that eventually the party starts to hate everyone so much that you get Donald Trump. And that's how you arrive in this place.
Well, I don't think you get Donald Trump. I think you open up the door for a Donald Trump to come
in
through
and be like, fuck this. Like, I'm
and
taking
show
over.
everyone the ridiculous flaws that they have within the party and within the system. I'm with you. I think Donald Trump happens to be a genius. I don't mean a genius financially or economically or he's a business genius, although I'm sure his business acumen is high.
Good words. Good words.
But I think he's a genius because if he understands anything, it is that he understands how to use the media to his advantage. And let me give you an example. Every time he says anything, every major and actually every media outlet on the planet has to report it because he's so polarizing. So even if he's saying things that are completely outrageous or flat out wrong, he gets everyone's attention. So as far as mindshare is concerned, he's a winner in that regard because he's playing the media and all of us like a fucking fiddle, and it's working. And I can't not watch him do this, right? And so there is something to be said for like, what does it say about our population that we're willing to let a candidate like this not only come in, but from his inception, he has been the leader. Like he has never not polled higher than anyone else. Am I correct?
He's always winning, yeah.
Like he came in, everyone's like, oh, ha, 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 it's a joke. Like he's polling higher than everyone. And now he's just torn away. And he's saying some outrageously radical shit, most of which, I mean, I gotta disagree with a lot of it. But the one thing that I do really respect and appreciate him for is that he is not backed by any, what's the terminology I'm looking for? Special interest group, right?
No.
So he is beholden to no one.
Right.
And that's why I think a lot of people are dangerous. If you were actually not using that crazy rhetoric to get attention, if you were actually somehow, which I have a feeling that if he's serious about this presidency, that he's going to have to start doing that eventually, which is going to have to take that rhetoric and move it more toward the sane and rational and actually how we're going to get this shit done side of things. But if you were actually able to do that, he would be a scarily awesome candidate. Just because he doesn't have like that's the biggest problem our politics in this country faces is that there's too much money involved, and he can actually take that out. Now, I don't think he will, and I don't think even if he were to get by some crazy stroke of like circumstances were to actually be elected president, I'm terrified for how he would use that to his advantage because that's exactly why. I mean,
He's a
a guy
business
like
guy.
a guy like Donald Trump doesn't run for president because he truly wants to fix things. A guy like Donald Trump runs for president because he wants to take that billion and make it into a trillion, which is what every president, Republican president's done for a really long time anyway. Well, I shouldn't say every, but at least the Bushes were pretty damn good at stuffing their pockets with money. I just can't. Part of me is like, this is ridiculous. I can't believe we're even entertaining this notion. And the other part of me is like, what's scarier, Trump getting into office or another Bush? Because Jeb will have. I mean, once all the 17 candidates start fading off, and it goes down to they're going to run out of money.
Yeah.
Eventually, Trump's lead that he has is gonna even out, and it's gonna become a real primary. And that's, I mean, I'd love to see what happens with that when they go up against each other. And just watching some of the quotes from his debate, you can't mess with him because the more people that went after him, they dropped.
I got to be honest with you.
They dropped.
My favorite clip, and I'd love to find it. We probably would get in trouble for using it, but my favorite moment of that debate was when Megyn Kelly asked him about all the disparaging thing he said about women or whatever, and she's naming all of these things. Did you see this?
No, I didn't see it.
Oh my! It's like because she's right. Like he really says awful things about people, whatever.
He was mean to Rosie O'Donnell.
Yeah, but then he's like, just Rosie O'Donnell, like all these things, and the crowd just goes fucking insane. And I'm like, that was fucking awesome. See, I
He
can't
really
believe
doesn't
that
like
you
Rosie.
said that.
A presidential candidate just called out Rosie O'Donnell.
What was the question? The question
Because-
was like, do you take one? Do you wish to? You
No,
can
no,
take it out?
because she was like, you said this about this woman, this, and he's like, just Rosie O'Donnell. And then just backs away from the microphone and everyone. And it's not true. Like, he's totally lying. He said awful things. I'm not defending what he said.
Yeah.
I want to
Let's be clear about that.
I'm saying that was amazing. No one would ever do that.
I mean, it's
if
a no
they were a
fucks given
politician.
situation. Yeah, he can.
Yeah.
He's kind of playing this character at this point where he can literally just do and say whatever he wants, and then people are going to react like what Nick's saying. But what's crazy to me is like this reminds me when I was way younger and Arnold
Yeah.
was our fucking governor. How the fuck did that happen? You know, like
Because
that's
he was
the thing.
popular.
Forced
Ray Davis.
recall.
But that's the thing though. It's like he's popular. You know, it's like. I've never been a political guy. I don't know this stuff. But especially when I was in high school when that happened, like I was a freshman in high school, and I remember it happened. I was like, I didn't know the other people. I knew Schwarzenegger, and I'm like, this is nuts though. That this is really a thing. I can't believe this is really a thing. And I hear about Donald Trump. I'm like, I can't believe this is really a thing. But then it's dangerous with this. It's different because he has the money and he has the popularity and he has friends. He has connections. He has all this stuff.
Yeah.
It's a
He's got everything he
popularity
needs.
contest,
Yeah.
you know. And it's just like, oh my god, he could just do this.
Yeah,
because he
I'm-
wants it to happen.
I know, but that, I mean, isn't that kind of everything in life? Isn't that kind of how you get ahead in business and how do you get ahead in, you know, I mean, really any field? Like that's how actors become famous actors, right? They have friends and they work networks,
Yeah.
like they network and they figure out how to get up, you know, how to work their way up the totem pole. That again, let me back what Colin said. I don't disagree. I mean, I don't agree rather with a lot of the disparaging remarks that he said. Actually, any of them. I don't think that all the ones that I can remember, I vehemently
Yeah.
disagree with. Right, all of his
Rosie
remarks about
O'Donnell's
Mexicans.
nice.
I've never met
Queen
Rosie
of nice.
O'Donnell, so I'm not going to go out on a limb and say she's not nice. Although I can appreciate that she may or may not have a bone to pick with Donald Trump. But the fact that he can say the things is the most fascinating part.
Definitely.
It's the fact that no one is going, oh, like if any other candidate had talked shit about anyone, they would every political correspondent across the nation would be like, oh, this person's out of the race.
Sure.
Because they said something, they actually had an opinion on something that
Yep.
could be quote unquote polarizing. So God for fucking bid, we don't reward them for that. We, in fact, take marks off of the page for that, and we have to kick them out of the race because they actually had an opinion on something. And that's the problem with politics in America is that you're not allowed to have an opinion about anything. It's all backpedaling. It's all answering without answering. Now here you've got a guy that's answering, actually pointed. There are questions that are being asked, and he's pointedly answering them.
Yeah.
The wrong way, unfortunately, but he's having a fucking opinion.
answering him. Yeah, that's the thing that is so exciting about him, right? In terms of just somebody who's watching from the sidelines to see how it all shakes out, is like it's gonna be cool if somebody who can say whatever the fuck they want actually has a shot at this, and it isn't just fucking lip service to the I gotta play to the Christian right and I gotta do this, and I don't even Mitt Romney's this great governor or whatever, and then when he gets on the national stage, he has to be all like, wow. God and abortion, and he's like, dude, like you're cooler back there. Why can't you just be that guy?
By the way, I found the clip.
Do you find the clip?
It's just 30 seconds here.
Things people love about you is you speak your mind and you don't use a politician's filter. However, that is not without its downsides, in particular when it comes to women. You've called women you don't like fat pigs, dogs, slobs, and disgusting animals. Your Twitter account...
Only Rosie O'Donnell.
No, it wasn't.
Damn.
When that happened,
That's insane that he could just fucking do that.
Yeah,
yeah.
and that was the thing I was saying. I was like, that's wrong. Like, I don't believe it's the same thing I say about Democrats when they go after the Koch brothers. I'm like, these are private citizens, and I don't really think that we should be going after people that are not in public life, really. And so my first instinct was like, yikes! Like, but I was sitting there watching with Cheryl, and I started laughing. I'm like, that might be the craziest thing I've ever seen in a primary in my entire life. And I've watched every debate since literally every one of them probably since 1992. So. Like since I was like
It makes
8 or
it
9.
interesting for
you know,
sure,
yeah.
yeah.
So like I was like, that is just as someone who studied political science, I'm like, this is unbelievable. And I remember after that first debate, because there's only been one so far, I was watching the pundits and I agreed with them, and they were like, I'm like, Donald Trump's done. He didn't answer any questions. He didn't say anything. He's going after people, whatever. And he went up 10 points. And I was like, everything about him doesn't make sense from a political science perspective, which is why it's so exciting for someone who studied it, where it's like these things are predictable, polling and poll testing and all this kind of stuff. People give polls shit sometimes, and sometimes polls are wrong. Polls are very wrong in the midterm, for instance, because their sample balance is off. But polls are real. They can predict a lot, and they do predict almost everything that happens, which is detrimental to our republic in the sense that people feel like they don't need to go out and vote. But I talked to you guys about this too. The one thing that's intriguing to me about him, and this is something I do believe, I was telling you guys something about a political science term called the Bradley effect. And the Bradley effect is something that happened in the early 80s in LA when a black man was running for mayor. And he was winning in the polls. He was winning in every poll. And then he was going against a white guy. And the white guy ended up winning. And everyone's like, what happened with the polling? And they're like, well, it's the Bradley effect. They named it the Bradley effect. They're like, people are afraid to say that they're not going to vote for a black person because they don't want to look like they're racist. That was the entire idea of the Bradley effect or whatever. And what I think, so what's happening here is clearly not the Bradley effect, but it's something similar and it's reversed. I think Donald Trump has more support than the polls show. And I think that people are afraid to admit it. Like when a pollster calls them or they're afraid to admit it to their friend. I think this is what the statistics show with him, which I think is fascinating. And this was when I saw this, I was like, this is fucking insane. He's winning with libertarians, evangelicals, paleoconservatives, neoconservatives. He's winning with men. He's winning with women. He's winning with more moderate Republicans. He's winning with all age groups. He's winning with everyone in the Republican Party. And you never, ever, ever see that. You know, only, for instance, even in the general election, the only thing that Romney won was white men. That's what he won.
So when they do these things to see where we're polling and all that stuff, who are they talking to? Are they talking to people that are active in politics, or is it just like surveys for random motherfuckers?
They garner your number. So there's algorithms that they use, and they'll garner numbers. Polling was questioned for a while because it used to be landlines, and now they're calling, so it would skew older and probably more conservative. But they're using cell phones, and basically they get your number based on if you donated to a candidate or whatever, and then you have to confirm that. I mean, there's a lot of trust put into the polling, but they confirm that you are a registered Republican. Like, for instance, any numbers about Donald Trump that have nothing to do with Republicans are useless because no one's going to be voting for him but registered Republicans in the primaries, unless you're in an open primary state. So there's a science behind it, and then based on how accurate they think the numbers are, there's a margin of error, which is usually like 3.5 points. So 7 points in terms of a swing. And the polling is typically right. I mean, Nate Silver, for instance, who's a master of polling, predicted basically every state in 2012. So the polling means something, and I actually think that the crazy thing and the interesting thing to me, as someone who sits on the sideline and who's someone who I don't think that I'm gonna. I mean, I don't want to necessarily commit. I don't have my guy yet. My hope is that Mitt Romney gets in. I mean, I'm just being totally straight up and honest with you guys. Like,
you think he actually have his chance?
People are apparently like trying to get him in, like because they think that this whole field just sucks, and that they just need someone that we know can do it. Mitt Romney, I've said it before, and I know it's a joke to a lot of people. I think Mitt Romney got robbed in 2012. I think he should have been president, and I think the media was totally skewed against him. I think he was totally ready for the job, and I think people realize that now. And as people like Greg say, after the dust settled and you see his documentary and you just see him, or whatever, you're like, this guy was kind of character assassinated, and everyone knows it.
What was that based on? I don't remember why he. What was the character flaw? Then he's Mormon.
He's
rich.
There was that, and then he had the speech that they had like the shaky cam footage from a table.
When he talked about how 53% of Americans pay for everything, and the 47% of Americans they'll always vote Democrat because they get free shit. Basically, was his argument. Ineloquently put, I thought. Wasn't supposed to be recorded, but that's the environment you live in today, or whatever. So I just think I think the media just hard. I mean, my personal opinion, I know some people disagree, is just I think the media was really hard on Mitt Romney. I think that Mitt Romney is a good man. I don't think Barack Obama is a bad man. I think Barack Obama is a good man too. I think that Mitt Romney roughed the shit out of Barack Obama in the first debate, and it woke everyone up. I think that Mitt Romney destroyed Obama in that first debate, and everyone knows it, and it caused a lot of fear, and so then they really started to buckle down and really go at him.
It's interesting though that and this is just for you, obviously. The two candidates that you gravitate toward most are both like hardcore business persons. Obviously, Donald Trump and Mitt Romney being like very, very successful in the private sector. Is that something that you feel like we need? Is that something that like just someone? I mean, because that was always kind of the allure for me with Mitt Romney of like when the man talks about like because that was always something they kind of went after him for. They're like, oh, you don't come from politics, you don't really have the background for this, you don't know what it's like to lead, to be a governor of a state or to be a senator
of Massachusetts
or whatever. What was it then? Or I guess they kind of came after him because he didn't have the experience that everyone else had.
He didn't.
But he was like, yeah, but I've built corporations in a multi-billion-dollar corporation, so I kind of know what it is to lead and to have kind of a bottom line result, which is not something that necessarily people in Washington adhere to. Do you gravitate toward that? Is that something you think that we would need?
Yeah, I mean, I know a lot of people disagree with it. I think that the republic should be run like a business. I think that that's like clear as day. I don't understand why anyone would be against that. If the government's taking your money, then it's to certainly be run by someone who understands it.
We should be held accountable for what it's used for.
Yeah, exactly. I don't think so. Everyone's like, it's not a business. You know, the government's not a business, and I'm like, yeah, it is. It's a fucking massive business. It employs like 1/6 of the entire country. So yeah, and it employs way too many people, and it's just this massive fucking apparatus. You know, not 1/6. I mean, the number's lower than that. 1/6 is actually the amount that healthcare I think takes up of the economy. But I'm attracted to people that are outsiders. That Carly Fiorina, who's also running for president. She's the old HP CEO, said something really prescient, I thought, which was, why does everyone talk about experience about how long you've been running for office? What the fuck does that even mean? You know? It's like if you don't have experience...
I'd vote for her if she said that in the middle of a thing. What the fuck does that even mean?
Well, she's getting hammered because she was just a CEO and stuff, and it's like, just the CEO? You know? Jeb Bush was the governor of Florida. That's great. That's valuable experience, but why is his experience more valuable than mine? You know? Because he's in the government? The only thing that tells you about anyone is that you can't probably trust them, you know? Right. And so I think that, I'm fascinated by Donald Trump just watching him. He's not my guy in the primary. I don't think he's going to get through, but we'll see what happens. I've been saying that for months, and he's just becoming more popular.
Do you think it'll be of his own volition that he doesn't go through? Do you think he'll just be like, okay, the joke's over, or I'm just leaving?
I think he's dead fucking serious, and I don't think it's a joke at all. And the unfortunate thing about him is that he brings up topics that I think need to be talked about, but he doesn't know how to talk about them. And this is one of the things I talked about with Greg, is that when you have an ego the size of his, part of running for president is knowing that you have to surround yourself with people smarter than you. That's what good candidates do. People that understand the system and understand the mechanics of how to run a campaign. It's complicated, and there are really, really talented people that do it. That are like, that wait every 4 years and they get in. A guy like Karl Rove, for instance. A lot of people give Karl Rove shit, but Karl Rove is like a brilliant architect of 2 presidential campaigns. Like he knows what he's doing. And Donald Trump has an apparatus, but he doesn't listen to anything anyone says. Like he was campaigning in Alabama, and I'm like, why are you in Alabama? Like, why are you in Alabama? You need to stay in New Hampshire. Like if I was, but like no one's listening. Like he just won't listen to anyone. And when he brings up topics, he doesn't know how to saliently talk about them. So, like, yeah, illegal immigration is a massive problem in this country. And most Americans agree. This is not a Republican or Democratic issue. Like, we have an influx of illegal immigrants in this country. We have a shortage of jobs. We have a porous border. These are totally valuable things that we should be talking about. But you can't talk about them in an incendiary way and say you're going to deport everyone. Yeah. Like, you can't do it. So he brings up these topics that should be talked about, but he doesn't know how to talk about them, and he doesn't know how to shut up. And that's going to be a big problem for him, but so far it hasn't been a big problem.
Isn't that the thing everyone likes about him, though? Isn't that the fact that, like, when everyone else answers the question to immigration, they really don't answer it? Like, what did I see? It wasn't immigration. It was, maybe it wasn't an immigration issue. I forget which candidate said it, but they said that they wouldn't be opposed to using the FBI or like the National Guard to enforce certain things. Oh, fuck, I'm slaughtering it. Never mind. Disregard that. But I think that people respond very well to that because they're not used to hearing someone actually say, oh, I would absolutely put up a wall, and it would be a really big wall, and I would have my own corporation build that wall, which he said. He was like, oh, he even named the material and the actual like faux thing he would make the wall out of. Like, he was like, oh, they have these walls that are like, they're pre-built. You have them shipped in. It's super easy. We'll put them in there. And he's like, and I'm not talking about a little wall that someone can hop over. I'm talking about a 20-foot cement wall that are prefab that you bring in and you put down. Like, it's crazy to hear someone that might be president actually be like, here are the logistics behind that. Now, what he does really need to start doing is that on every other topic, when someone asks him about it, he does a lot of that sidestepping where he doesn't finish his thought. Have you noticed that?
Let's take a helicopter ride.
Well, he'll just start talking, and then he goes off tangent, and then tangent, and then tangent,
yeah,
and you're like, what the hell are you talking about?
This is the thing, and this is what we've realized, I think, like, more like policy wonks have realized, like, as they've watched him, which is it doesn't matter. He's the candidate of the time. It doesn't matter what he says. Like, he went on Hugh Hewitt's show. Hugh Hewitt's like a pretty popular, I don't really like him very much, but a popular conservative radio host, and asked him a bunch of foreign policy questions he could not answer. Like, he couldn't answer them. Some of them were complicated. Some of them I don't even know, like, really know what the fuck he was talking about. But not that I don't really get into I don't care much about foreign policy, but anymore. But after that, Trump was like, he asked me gotcha questions, fuck him, like, and his polling just went up. Like, it's just like, I'm like, what is it's as someone who, that's why I want to talk about him, to bring it up, because I'm also curious what our fans think of him. I'm somewhat neutral on him, I guess, is like where I kind of fall on it, where I'm like, he's fun to watch. I like that he's setting the narrative. He has all of this money, but what people are ignoring is he hasn't spent any of it. He doesn't need to. Like, people are like dying to like have him on their shows. He just does wherever he goes to Alabama. Who the fuck goes to Alabama? I don't mean any disrespect to Alabama, but you go to New Hampshire You go Iowa, New Hampshire, South Carolina, Florida, Nevada. That's the order. If you're not in those states almost exclusively, you're fucking not doing it right.
Sure,
but he doesn't care.
He doesn't. He maybe I mean that's the thing. Or maybe there's a method to his madness, right? And that's the thing that we just don't know. Like I don't believe that you ever really understand 100% the strategy behind like that's happening in that man's head. I think he's got a strategy. I don't know what it is, and maybe it doesn't adhere to the normal stratagems of that have preceded it. But he has something that he knows that we don't, and he's going to use it to his advantage. But to what end is my question. It's like I still don't buy that the man wants to necessarily be president. I would not surprise me at all if like 2 or 3 months from now he dropped out of the election and went back to NBC and started a show that was like the best show on the fucking planet, and this whole thing was just to promote that show. You know, that's the kind of crazy
the Kojima of politics.
Well, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah,
you know,
he's an interesting dude. I mean, I'm fascinated by him because it's like he's not the first person to be like a game change or like someone that shakes up a race, but it happens really only like once in a generation to have someone like this, and in a time where matchups really matter because a new poll shows Trump beating all of the Democrats, which is even crazier. I'm like, this is insane. Like I'm like I can't believe that this is happening, but in a time where Hillary Clinton's in a lot of trouble.
Yeah, she's in a lot of trouble,
and it's becoming worse and worse for her every day. Bernie Sanders is beating her in Iowa now. And Biden, who's not even fucking running, is beating her in Iowa. So like there's just major problems for her. It's all about matchups. And in a time where the Republicans are licking their chops, hoping Bernie Sanders gets elected, which is what we all hope and wish because there's a lot of delusion about him.
Steamroll over him, you think?
Bernie Sanders is a very good man, very consistent man, and has been consistent for 40 years about what he says. My personal take on Bernie Sanders is he has absolutely no prayer in the general election. And a lot of people, because he's a socialist. And there's nothing wrong if you want to be a socialist or whatever, but we've never elected anyone even remotely like him before, you know? And it's easy to go around saying everything you want to say when no one's challenging what you're saying.
Sure.
I want free education for free college education. I want a $15 minimum wage. I want 90% tax on the rich. I want and everyone's just everyone's be like, what the fuck are you talking about?
Right.
You know, like that's not what we do here. But he's an interesting man. I think that he's the easiest to beat, but that's my opinion. A lot of people would disagree with that, and that's fine. We'll see how that all shakes out. I could be totally wrong. If we elect someone like Bernie Sanders, this country is totally unpredictable in every respect, which is an exciting way to be.
But that was my thing, though. Like when Trump entered the race, I got excited because I was like, cool, it's going to be hilarious watching him or him respond to other people, right? Other candidates, rather. And I was like, oh, this is going to be, the debate's going to be hilarious because it's going to be Donald Trump doing crazy stuff if he makes it that far. And then someone's going to say something and he's going to basically be calling other candidates out on their bullshit. That's not what's happening, though. Somehow that shifted, and now everyone's trying to take him apart. And every time they take a shot at him, they go down and he goes up.
I mean, that's what happens. It's like wrestling, you know? The bad guy. People like the bad guy.
But is he the bad guy? That's the thing. It's like...
But that's the thing. The bad guy's in wrestling, the bad guy, until everyone loves him, and then he becomes the good guy because he is the bad guy everyone loves.
Maybe.
You know?
I don't know.
Yeah, he's an interesting cat, man. I'm fascinated to watch this all. I think this is a very dynamic and fluid election. I think that, we have some interesting people on the left with Bernie Sanders. Who knows if Elizabeth Warren ends up getting involved. There's a lot of people trying to draft her into it. Biden looks like he is going to get in. Because Hillary Clinton's wounded. And so I do believe Hillary Clinton's on the downward spiral now. Because
you think so?
Yeah.
They're really trying to downplay those emails, though. They're like, wasn't the last count like only like out of all of them? What was the deal with it? The one I saw was that declassified some of them, right? But then like half of them were quote unquote classified, so they can't really share them anyway.
And that's all that matters.
Right.
They found more classified emails. The big thing is that the person who set up her server pled the fifth. When I saw that, I was like, that's fucking incredible. I'm like,
really? I didn't see that.
Because you don't plead the fifth. You can't just plead the fifth because you don't want to testify. You plead the fifth if you're going to incriminate yourself.
Yeah.
That's the rule. You don't just say, like, I don't want to talk. It's like you're not allowed to talk if you are going to be incriminated.
Well, that's what the fifth is, right?
Yeah, exactly. So because
you're not allowed to incriminate yourself.
Oh, he doesn't have to talk, and I'm like, no, he has to talk unless he's going to incriminate himself.
Right.
So that is a when I saw that, I was like, oh shit. So I think that she's unraveling, and even if she gets away with it, no one trusts her.
But do you think that because Trump is able to say all the shit that he is saying and whatever, that's going to kind of make this different and allow other people to get away with stuff as well?
No, I think it's the opposite effect that's happening. I think it's the more crazy shit that he says, the more people are not willing to put up with. And I'm conflicted on Clinton because I think she does it. I think she gets a lot more scrutiny than she ought to because she's a woman, and I don't want to open up that can of worms. But I feel like we let a lot of guys slide with shit like this, and I feel like she's don't
But
know.
understand that General Petraeus did the same exact thing and was removed.
That is true.
From
That
the
is true.
CIA. So here's the thing. I mean, we'll close out because I know we're going along. Here's the thing about Donald Trump. He's a legitimate candidate. Now, whether or not you agree with him or disagree with him remains to be seen. Whether or not he craters because he says something stupid remains to be seen. But as someone who studied politics and studied history, not to the degree that a lot of these wonks have, but to a degree where I understand it very well, I've never seen anything like this. And what, like what?
He's looking for the definition of, was it wonk?
Wonk, yeah.
A policy wonk in politics is someone who. So there are different kinds of politicians. A wonk. Paul Ryan was a wonk. Romney's running mate. It's
He
a
had
guy.
really good abs, too.
It's a guy that crafts and understands policy.
Got it.
So he's like the guy that like understands the minutia of a bill, or like wonks are just people that are nerdy about the little things in politics. So they're not just on the stump talking. Like Trump's the antithesis of a wonk, for instance, right? But like Romney wanted to get Ryan on the ticket to give him validity with the people like insiders that and Paul Ryan writes a lot of legislation. So that's just basically it. That's about as good as I can
Boiled
explain
it
without
Is
being
it
here.
in any way, shape, or form related to Willy Wonka and the Chocolate
No,
Factory?
not related to that at all.
He'd get my vote.
Asking that, he would.
But yeah, I think Trump's an interesting dude. I think that he's worth keeping an eye on. I think someone like Bernie Sanders is interesting too, because the one thing you can't ignore with Bernie Sanders, even though I think he's easily beatable in my own mind, is that this whole election's been fucking topsy-turvy and weird, and he is saying things that people want to hear, like that the deck is stacked against them and that the rich don't care about them, they don't pay their fair share and all that kind of stuff. Here's the interesting thing about that, is if it's Trump and Sanders, Trump is saying the same thing. And that's one of the things I'm saying is Trump is like, I want to raise taxes on the rich. I want to raise taxes on Wall Street. I want to raise taxes on, like, he's talking about raising taxes and he's still winning. Like, that is like usually like what took down Bush 1? No
Read
new
my
taxes,
lips.
right? Read my lips, no new taxes. And then he raised taxes. And that was the end of Bush. You know what I mean? Because we don't take kindly to raising taxes on anyone in the Republican Party. It's just not the way we are. But Bush is walking around, or Trump's walking around being like, I'll raise taxes.
I'm gonna do it.
And like, so he's almost stealing some of their shit, where it's like, in the general election, he might be a pretty interesting character, and he puts some pretty interesting states into play.
He's definitely an interesting character.
Do we feel like the reason a lot of more people trust him on fiscal issues is just because he is he is known for being the business person of the United States? Like, he is the face of entrepreneurship.
Yeah, and a lot of people attack him because he's had some bankruptcies and stuff. I didn't like the way he dealt with that question where he was like, so people were asking like, you've declared bankruptcy 4 times, like your business has declared bankruptcy 4 times, and I was like, oh, this is such a slam dunk answer, and what I was expecting him to say was like, I own hundreds of businesses, so 4 of them declared bankruptcy. My success rate is like 98%.
Right.
What's your success rate? Something like very Trump-like.
Yeah.
But instead, he was basically being like, I declared bankruptcy because I can make more money out of it, and I was using the system. And I was like, that's an interesting answer. That's an interesting answer.
way to answer
Not
that
the way I
question.
would have went down the road. Again, he needs to listen to people that know what they're doing, because he doesn't know how to
Yeah,
run a
but
campaign.
isn't there
Imagine how effective he could be if he had people that he could if he had his own Karl Rove.
Therein lies the problem.
David Axelrod.
Therein lies the issue, is because to do that would take away that transparency, which I believe people are vibing with. People are responding to that full transparency. He basically was like, I'm gaming the system. I'm doing something that if everyone else did, our economy would collapse. But I am doing it. I am taking advantage of that because it is smart business that I'm sharing this with you guys. I'm being honest. If you start layering yourself behind those layers of the Karl Roves or your sort of political handlers, don't you take away a little bit of that magic?
You do, but you don't have to make them like a public figure either. Like, I can tell when he walks around that he's not listening to anyone.
I don't think he has anyone. I think his opponents backstage have like 40 handlers, and then it's the Trump table, and it's like, a fucking Fanta and maybe a line of cocaine, and he's just like, "Let's go after
let's
this."
go. Got it, bros.
I'm not accusing Donald Trump.
Yeah,
of
so
using cocaine. He will sue me. Please don't.
He's
don't-
an interesting
don't do that.
character, and I think people are not taking him seriously at their own risk. I guess I'll leave it there. Like, I think that he's in the stay. I think he's going to win some states, and I think that in the primary, and we'll see what happens when we get to Super Tuesday and stuff, if he's still in, because Super Tuesday is really going to be a test of money and all that kind of stuff. So we'll see what happens, but yeah, like, I find him interesting as someone who just likes politics, who doesn't really agree with much of what he says in terms of like I don't like how he went after John McCain. I don't like all these kinds of things. I'm a little concerned he doesn't seem to know a lot. I like how he answers a lot in terms of like, oh, we're just here having a good time. He says that a lot.
He's definitely the
and I'm
candidate
like, this
everyone wants
is
to have
so
a beer
awesome.
with.
I'm like, they just asked you a fucking foreign policy question and you're talking about how much of a good time you're having? The fuck are you talking about? And then his polling number go up 5 points. So it's totally unpredictable. And again, I'm telling you, he has support with independents. He has broad support across the entire spectrum of the Republican Party. And that is not something I've ever seen. And I've never seen it, and I don't know if we're ever going to see that again because I think the Republican Party is fucking crumbling in on itself like a dying star anyway. So this might be one of the last times we ever see the Republican Party, and it's going to be. So he might be like the Nero of like just fiddling as like Washington burns or as the Republican Party burns, or he might be the smartest man in the room. And at this point, I fucking don't know. It's fascinating.
I'm inclined to vote for him just to see if he can turn the White House into Dan Bilzerian's Instagram pages, where it's just like you just like remember they talked about the candidate that you'd most want to have a beer with, and it was like that's why Bush. One of the main reasons why people liked Bush, because they were like, he's just the kind of guy you want to.
He's a normal dude.
He's a normal guy. You want to go have a beer with him or whatever. And then later, Obama tried to have beers with people, and you're like, it's not working. Trump's the kind of guy you want to party in Vegas with. He's the kind of guy that's like, because he owns a fucking hotel in Vegas, right? Like this, people just want to see what happens, and it's crazy. Sorry, Greg, you've been trying to wrap up for the last 15 minutes.
I haven't. I'm just listening to you finish.
I can tell because your eyes go sleepy. You get sleepy eyes.
Like, I just squint at you?
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe you are.
I mean, you always miss the natural endpoint. That's the funny thing about you.
Well,
I don't know if you
Colin,
ever go watch your performance. Colin always puts a button on it, and then you got one more thing.
I like to do that.
This topic was brought to you by Squarespace. Nick, we use Squarespace.
We do use Squarespace.
You found it. You used it. It came to you like Cal on a little rocket ship.
I mean, yes, that's exactly how it happened. When I was using it, I was like, this is very, very close to the original Richard Donner Superman.
Squarespace provides simple, powerful, and beautiful websites that look professionally designed, regardless of skill level. No coding required. Not only does Squarespace provide you with intuitive and easy-to-use tools to create your website with, Squarespace also has state-of-the-art technology powering your site to ensure security and stability. And you can trust in Squarespace for your website because millions of other people do too. When you decide to sign up for Squarespace, make sure you use the offer code KINDOFFUNNY to get 10% off your first purchase and to show your support for us. Kind of funny. We, of course, thank you, Squarespace, for taking care of us. Squarespace. Build it beautiful. Oh, you knew it. You did.
Oh, I know it.
You're good. You're really good.
Build it beautiful.
Build it beautiful. Build it, you beautiful people.
Put a comma in there, and the whole meaning of the sentence has changed.
I like it. I like it better with the comment that Squarespace is just calling everybody beautiful. And I like to think you are Squarespace. So thank you.
That's Donald Trump's thing as well. Build it beautiful.
The Squarespace.
And then another skyscraper goes up.
My topic. I want to know the worst thing that's ever happened to you. Nay, the worst trivial thing that's ever happened to you. We've talked about bad things in this show before, but right now, while we're recording, the story is going around right now about this Metal Gear Solid 5 glitch, where if you play one of these two missions with quiet, it locks up, your save's screwed, you never get through it. This kid put up a YouTube video, he's 111 hours into it, totally locked up, everything's ruined. Hopefully they can get a save and fix it for him. Otherwise, infinite load, you have to restart the game, go from scratch. Right now, 85, 90 hours into this game, on my way to platinum it, this is my worst nightmare. This would be the worst thing to ever happen to me. The worst trivial thing to ever happen to me. Now, for more, I have two other references. One's Metal Gear related, where I had played Metal Gear Solid 2 like a crazy person on PlayStation 2 in college. Just insane. Played it, if there would have been a platinum trophy for the game, I would have had it. I had every dog tag, which meant I went up and held up every soldier to get the dog tags, had all the ghost photos, beat it on every difficulty, did everything possible, and had it all on a memory card. In 2001, right? Metal Gear Solid 2. I probably did this, so 01 into 02, that freshman year of college. And then the next year, I moved into this house with a whole bunch of friends, and I want to say, so then we're probably thinking 03, 04, one of those friends borrowed it to take it home to play with his brother, came back, gave it to me, and I checked the memory, because remember the PlayStation 2 cases used to have a memory card in there? Great idea. Or the memory card holder. I checked in there, no memory card. And I was like, motherfucker, this memory card is missing. And he's like, why does it matter? Like, you're never going to play this game again. I'm like, well, first off, it's my property, so that's a shitty answer. But secondly, he had all these things on me, like all these, this is giant. I tell him this whole story. He's like, all right, I'll get it back. So we went home the next weekend, came back, gave me the memory card. I popped in. It's not that memory card. And he's like, this is the only one my brother had. And I was like, what the and I was devastated. Now, he was correct. I never played a Metal Gear Solid 2 on the PlayStation 2 again. I never loaded up that memory card to go, and I never was going to go through and look at everything. Like, it was, I did it.
It's an emotional thing.
I have my story of the time Poe was trying to beat it years later and called me, and I was on the phone. And I walked him through it. Like, I just shut my eyes and walked him through. And I'm like, wait, what difficulty you're on? All right, sorry, go back there. That guard won't be there. But you go down, you know what I mean? Like, I was able to do that. And my friend was like, that is fucking insane. You're a crazy person. But that was like horrible. I remember what a horrible moment that was when I opened up and realized it was just gone.
Yeah.
All those memories were gone. And similar when I got my Megazord. It was hard to get these Power Ranger toys. Remember, Tim?
Oh yeah,
And I finally got my hands on a Megazord. And this is the height of Megazordness. You know what I mean?
Megazord. Yeah.
Megazords were all hard to get.
the rage.
Everybody loved them. I got one finally for Easter or some stupid holiday that was finally just they got it.
Greg Miller gets Easter presents.
I got
you,
Easter
Greg.
presents too.
Welcome
Fuck
to
you
Catholic
too.
households. Welcome to Catholic households. That's also when I got the Technodrome from Ninja Turtles back in the day.
I would so
Damn.
I would get a basket,
Yeah.
and then I would get like 2 or 3 action figures, and then like some money. That's what I would get.
Yeah.
That's the hookup.
It wasn't a huge gift giving occasion.
No,
If I
no,
remember, this
but it
was
was
like
something.
I
Oh,
think
it wasn't huge. I just got my Technodrome and my Megazord.
I think they weren't the same one first.
You were an only child though.
Yeah, exactly. I think Megazord was a rain check from like Christmas too. Because remember how hard these damn things were. They were like
gotcha.
Wii's. If you need a contemporary thing, they were like Wii's. They were that hard to get back in the day. And so I got it, and I remember being so excited. Like day 2, I jumped on the bed to play with it or whatever, and I remember jumping and hearing a pop. And I landed on the sword. And I was laying on top, and I remember praying to God that I hadn't broken the sword. Because this is the thing. And you know when you get toys and you glue them back together, they're never the same.
never
It's
the same,
never
yeah.
the same. And to my credit, God didn't break that sword. Even though I know I heard it break. And I got up, the sword was intact. And I was like, oh, thank you, God.
Bro, you know, you never found out what broke.
No,
It was
probably
like
my hip.
it was like when you had GI Joes. Well, I mean, I had hundreds of GI Joes, and you would break the thumb, and that
Oh,
was
yeah.
and they could no longer hold a gun.
Right.
I used to be like, oh, like I'd like have to go into my special space for my happy place for a minute to make sure that I wasn't gonna lose.
I
my
remember the
fucking
first
mind.
time my mom, I was taking a bath, and she let me bring my Superman with the cloth cape into there or whatever, and he playing him in the bath, and his symbol washed off. And I'm just like fucking crying, of course. And she like tried it with a red Sharpie to fix it. It's like, it's not the same, Mom. This isn't the same anymore. So I had to get another Superman. This was like Bizarro Superman. I had to make some fucking
No, that's
story.
good. No, that's good,
some
though.
shitty
It's good.
story why he's got a broke
Made
ass
it
ass.
That's horrifying.
The story that came to mind for me, I mean, I've told a lot of trivial. I mean, my life is a series of trivial events. But the one thing I remember that was more recent that happened to me only a few years ago was when I had graduated Northeastern, and then I, as we explained when Ramon was on, I lived like underneath a staircase in my friend's apartment, and I had my parents had gotten me a laptop, for graduation, like a graduation present. I used to have like I had computer towers until then. And so when I got my job offer from IGN, when they offered me a job, I decided to leave Boston. My dad came up. No, my mom's boyfriend at the time, who's now her husband, so I guess my stepdad, came and got all of my shit. And he's like a really nice guy. And we just went out for lunch or whatever. And he's like, all right, I'm going to drop this off on the island to your dad and everything. I'm like, that's great. And he had like 2 of my towers. And I told my dad, I gave my dad instructions where I'm like, put them I have like a computer graveyard in the basement. Put them with the other towers. And he's like, why do I have, because I had like 5 towers down there at this point. So like all my computers like over time. And he was like, why do you want to keep these? And I'm like, because there's just funny things on all of these. I want to be able to plug that Sony violin from the mid 90s in like 2025 and just see what's on it. He's like, fine. I'm like, all right, great. And I never thought about it again for literally 5 years. And then like 2012 or something, I went home and I went into the basement. I like going to the basement. It's very nostalgic down there for me for some reason. And my drums are stacked up and all this stuff. And then I'm like, well, and I'm like, Dad, where are my computers? And he's like, I threw them out. And I'm like, what? And he's like, I like lost my mind. I don't even know why. I was like so viscerally upset. I'm like, why did you throw my computers away? And he's like, you have like 3 laptops since then. Like, you don't need your old computers. And I'm like, but like I have like my MP3 collection from 10th grade on there and stuff like that. And like, I realized it wasn't a big deal, but it was like I never printed anything out or put anything on disc because I was like all my college papers were on there, like like all these chat logs and all these things, and I'm like, fuck, you threw that shit away, and that was like I was like, my whole vacation was ruined. I was like, I can't believe you fucking did this, like. And now looking back, I'm like, I was pretty hard on my dad about this. Like, he needs room.
Have you apologized since?
Yeah, I apologize. Like, I apologized during the trip. I'm like, yeah, I kind of overreacted to that. And he's like, I know. You want to go to the diner? I'm like, all right. But so that was probably the last trivial thing that happened to me where I lost all my computers. Not because I ever wanted to use them again. I just thought it would have been really funny to plug my computer from high school in for the first time in 15 years and just be like, what the fuck was I doing on this thing?
Right.
See, I'm lucky being an interesting word here, that I'm OCD about that stuff. So I just keep backing it up. I have backups on backups. I have hard drives that are just old shit on it. Like I have all my AIM chat logs, not all of them, but I have a fair amount of stuff that I'm like, one day I'll go back to and look. And every once in a while I look at that shit and I'm just like, my God, like the random like home video footage I have of just like me and Kevin in Santa Cruz just doing dumb shit.
Yeah.
It's like, why did we do this? Like, this makes no sense. Why did we film this?
Sure.
Why does any of this even happen?
I think all the tapes I have. Are
Yeah,
that.
and
Whether
but
they're
it's
backyard
awesome.
wrestling or us being a bunch of idiots with the home camera. Yeah.
But it's great because I have them all digitized, or most of them, and I have them like, I spent years of my life just naming these files and just organizing it all by like date, and I have folders that are like 2001, 2002, 2003. And It's
Yeah.
like I have all this shit. It's awesome.
I think the last time I remember being like really pissed off about something, like to that point where it stokes that weird part of your brain where you just like, I can't stop thinking about this thing for weeks on end, was I had a hardback copy of Shadows of the Empire. I don't know why I thought this thing was going to be worth money one day. I was just like, I mean, it was like I looked in it and I like looked up all these things about it. I was like, this is a first edition. This is going to be worth money someday. I don't know what the fuck I was thinking. I was stupid, but I kept like immaculate care of this thing. And then one day, one of my brother's friends was like, "Oh, that book. Was that a Star Wars book?" I was like, "Yeah, I was reading it, like taking it." And I'm crazy about my magazines, my books. Like
About the spine.
well, I'll put them in like Ziploc bags so they don't get wet. I don't like
Really?
I don't like the spine to be like, if it's a paperback. I
Really?
fucking hate when people do that
Oh,
shit
really?
with the spine.
I
and it's
flip
just
them over and shit. When I-
no, it's got to be. It needs to look like I just
No.
took it out of the bookstore, or else I get pissed off.
I like wearing and tearing them. That way you're making progress. You're making an impact on it.
Well, that was, I mean, but this was a hardback
Tearing
also,
up my
so it was a
goosebumps.
little different. But I loved this book, and it was a good book, and it just had an impact on me. So I was like, oh, I'm gonna keep really good care of this. And then my brother's friend was like, and this is a guy I looked up to, and he was like, can I borrow that? And I was like, sure. And then a few months went by, and I would kind of like throw out like, hey man, you know, do you have my book still? And he's like, what? Oh yeah, sure. Finally, after like 9 months, I was like, hey dude, can I get my book back? And he was like, what book? And I'm like, Shadows of the Empire, my first edition, Shadows of the Empire. Like, you have that, right? And he's like, oh, I think I have that. So it took me like a year to get this thing back. And when I got it back, it had like water stains on it.
Yeah.
And I was just like, fuck. And like to the point where I was like, there were like stains that I tried to clean off with water. And then I used a hairdryer like per page to like, and then of course, you know, if you ever wet a book and like
Yeah,
it
yeah,
dries,
it's
it
all
dries like
wavy.
fucking,
Yeah.
yeah. Oh God, it was the worst. And I just threw it out. I was like, nope, done. And I haven't watched a Star Wars movie
Did you
since.
yell at him?
No, I didn't yell at him because it taught me a lesson. Well, first of all, I
Books
didn't
are
tell
dumb.
him. Well, I didn't tell him how much it meant to me, and I should have not. I just loaned it to him if it wasn't that meant that much to me. I shouldn't have given it out in the first place. But secondly, it also taught me that it was just a dumb book, and like it's not worth ruining a friendship over something that you should know better than to give someone else if it means that much.
Yeah.
But I'm a stickler about stuff like that. It got me over it though. Like to be like, I was just out of town this weekend with my wife, and we were I was reading a magazine and it got wet. I didn't realize it, and I put it in my bag, and then I did the thing where like I can't even open it because it's curled
Yeah.
up this way, and it's a magazine that I happen to collect, and I was just like, eh. Like,
Beards Monthly.
no, it's a American Cinematographer magazine.
Okay.
It's a really great magazine, and if anyone's into film out there, you should definitely check it out because it talks about film production from the cinematographer's perspective. So they talk about why they lit scenes certain ways and how that helps tell the story. But I've been collecting this magazine for years now, and like it's the one with Straight Outta Compton on it, and I was like, this is so
Oh,
good,
no.
and I'm like reading about it, it's fucking awesome, and now. I'd like to think that I'm just going to throw it away and not worry about it, but there's still a weird part of my brain that's like, you need to go find that magazine in a bookstore right now and buy it and make sure you have that copy of it. And then there's that other weird, and I'm sure you'll appreciate this. Then I'm like, but it won't have the label on it. It won't have my address on it.
Sure.
And that's like,
That's important to you.
it's important to me. I don't know why.
It's the collection has to look a certain way.
I guess so.
It's your collection.
But my wife got me over a lot of those nuances.
I'm surprised she lets you keep collecting these magazines.
That's all. That's it.
Yeah?
Like when we got married and moved in together, I had a book collection and I had DVD collection and a VHS collection, and she was like, "You don't need any of that." And I'm like, "No, but I might want to watch The Replacement Killers one more time." She's like, "You're not gonna fucking watch The Replacement Killers." And so she got me over that need to like hoard.
Yeah.
Because I used to love collecting. I'd love to collect like DVDs and you know, all the things I just listed, obviously. But she was like, some of these DVDs are still in cellophane. I had like 3 copies of Fight Club in cellophane for some reason. And she's like, "You're not gonna ever watch this again." I'm like, I guarantee I'm gonna watch Fight Club again. She goes, "Yeah, but you're gonna watch it on TV. You're gonna leave it in cellophane." I was like, "But it's perfect in the cellophane. Like it's perfect. It's perfect, Jerry."
Yeah. We have games out there in the same way.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's
I have a
just-
lot of games in Philippines.
But that's a different story because those get sent to us for work and stuff. I mean, for me, it was going to college was what killed the collecting vibe.
Yeah.
Of just always having a small room, you know, knowing I was gonna have to pack it up at some point and take it back to Chicago or back and forth for whatever. And like that was the thing. I collected comics. I collected Superman memorabilia and all that crap. And all that crap's now in my dad's attic. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And like so to go from college to here where you have no room, it was like, yep, I don't want any of this shit. Like the DVD collection, right? Even that was like I had for a while, and then finally I was like, fuck this. You know what I mean? And now I have it down to like movies that mean something to me, but in the same breath, yeah, when am I gonna sit down and watch Dawn of the Dead on DVD again that I have? You know what I mean? It's just all this dumb stuff.
I mean,
like,
to be fair, you're probably never,
Yeah.
and you're probably never gonna go back and watch all those Smallvilles. You
yeah,
know?
exactly.
And I mean,
well,
I'm
Smallville
not-
I'd gotten rid of, and then they put together the entire
Right.
series in one box. And I was like, well, fuck.
and that's the thing, and that's how they get you, right? They like that. There's that collector mentality. I just don't. I can't. I'm not. I mean, my wife just beat that out of me. Like,
Yeah, no, I hear you.
painfully. Like, I really want to keep. Like, I had to argue with her to keep my VHS copy of Return of the Jedi. I was like, you don't understand.
Wow, she was trying to throw that out?
Yeah, she was like, you don't
From
fucking
the
need.
mid-90s collection or the 80s one?
It was like, I want to say it was the '80s one.
Wow, because that's awesome. Because that's when VHS tapes cost like $80.
Yeah, it
People
might.
forgot about that, by
It
the
might
way.
have been. I mean, to be fair, I don't think it was like an original. I think it was like
Signed by George Lucas.
it had been like a few years. It came out again or whatever it was.
had
It
a-
might have been one of the digitally remastered
I
ones.
had
for all
I had
remember. It's
Empire
gone.
from the early 80s, and we bought it used at some point, but I remember I saw the price tag on it was like $89.99.
Wow.
Because VHS tapes were really expensive.
Yeah.
At some point, and then they were really, really cheap. My dad actually, maybe I'll give the pictures to Kevin if I remember. My dad started sending. My dad's moving to the Hamptons, and
We're going to the Hamptons.
I still can't believe this is happening. And so he's starting to like get rid of shit. And so he like drove down to Virginia where my sister lives and just brought her like all of this shit. Like half of it's not even ours. And she's like, here, you can just deal with this. And a lot of it was like our old VHS collection. And I was like, this is so funny, man. Like I had like some random ass things on VHS, like Liar Liar. I had on
Wow.
VHS.
It's not a bad film.
No, it's not actually a bad film.
I want to beat those things around like Sugar Ray Leonard.
But it's because I used to go to this place when I lived in New Hampshire when I still lived up there for a couple of years. There was a place called American Video or something like that. And after a video was out for like a few months, they would start selling all of their copies for $5. And so I used to just go in there with like $50 and just buy like 10 tapes for no reason. That's when I bought like Wedding Singer and all sorts of stuff.
Another classic.
So anyway, it's just like physical media is just so I just fucking don't want it anymore. I
Exactly.
don't want it anywhere near me, and it's decluttering my life. It's really nice. It was sad to see it happen with books because I used to really like adding books to my library and stuff like that. My library is now just like my DVD collection is just in stasis forever now. But much like media, I watch more now that I don't have to buy it, and I read more now that I don't have to actually buy a book. I just
You guys
download
are
it.
crazy. I'll never understand that. I have so many stories of just these traumatizing moments, and they just stick with me. I don't
How many
get over
involve
it.
Kevin falling on whatever it is that's important to you?
Oh, I mean, I'm not even gonna involve Kevin because it's like the moment that I'm thinking, oh, bullshit, bull fucking shit. If I
How
bring
many involve
Kevin in
Kevin
traumatic
smashing
moments in
it?
my life, holy shit, there's way too many of them.
Don't fall.
Oh, including the, and this is a small thing, but hey, Tim, can I borrow your PS4? No, I don't want you to. No, like, come on, please. You're not even using it. Dude, I don't want you. No, I'm going to take it. I'm just going to take it. Fine. Just don't drop it. Why would you need to tell me not to drop it? It's your PS4. Of course I'm not going to drop it. Weekend later. Hey, why is my PS4 on your floor? Oh, shit. It must have fell off the
No
thing.
bullshit.
Oh, okay.
I
Well,
think it-
that's
I
exactly
think-
how
I
that
think it
shit fucking
dropped
happened.
in front of you.
I hate Kevin.
Anyways.
I hate Kevin so much.
And we all
Like
do.
on a
So-
pedestal when he like pushed something. It was his fault.
There's so many of these moments, video game wise, Smash Bros. Melee. I was trying to platinum it, get all the trophies, get all the things, and my fucking friend Vincent, we sleepover, we're all staying at his house, and I walk into the bathroom. I come out, he's like, dude, I fucked up. I'm like, what'd you fuck up? He's like, I deleted the save file. I was like,
How the fuck does that happen?
how did you do that? He's like, you go in the menu, you go into settings, you go into memory card, you go down to delete, and it says, are you sure you want to delete this? And I said, yes. I'm like, what the fuck is wrong with you? Why would you do that? He's just like, I mean, I got all the way through there, and I didn't mean to say yes, but then I don't know, man. I thought I was getting out of it. I'm like, you really just fucked me here. But it's Smash Bros. So I just did it again. It wasn't that big of a deal.
I've told it before. That was the same thing with what was it? The Star Wars on PS1 Jedi Power Battles, right?
Battles,
Where
yeah.
I lent
You
it to
level them up.
Poe,
Yeah.
and he's like, "I think I erased all this," and I was like, "This game kind of sucks, so don't worry." But it was a lot of work getting
Yeah,
Qui-Gon
it's-
Jinn through the fucking game.
Oh, my boy Qui-Gon. But so that's my gaming moment there. But one moment that will stick with me for the rest of my life, and it hurts me in my stomach, is my mom bought me Optimus Prime.
Oh yeah.
And the trailer, everything. and we bought it in Sausalito, which is right across the Golden Gate Bridge. And we're playing with it, and there's this picture of me, little 4-year-old Timmy, holding my Optimus Prime, and I've never been happier. We walked back across the Golden Gate Bridge.
You walked across the bridge
Yeah.
with it?
Yeah. Now, I made a mistake, guys. I made a bad mistake. Day I bought Optimus Prime. Riding him along the thing. This is before all the suicide prevention stuff. So
To be fair, even if he had gone over with the suicide prevention stuff, you still weren't getting him back.
no, I know.
It's not like they give
I know,
It's
but
not
it's
like someone's gonna climb out
no,
onto
but
the
they
net.
don't let you. Nowadays, you
Bring it
can't
back
even
to
get near
Yeah,
like
that's
where I was at.
That's true.
I'm just riding him along this thing, and he fell. And he fell off the Golden Gate Bridge
Into the water.
into the water. And I remember looking down through the hole, and I saw him. And I swear to God, it was the longest drop I've ever seen anything fall. And I just heard music playing in my head, just this like sad, somber, quiet, like choir music. And I was just like, it honestly, Titanic hadn't happened yet, but I'm pretty sure My Heart Will Go On was playing in my head.
Damn.
And I just saw that Optimus, everything turned black and white, and I just saw him just fall, and it was horrifying.
You start crying immediately?
Immediately.
Yeah.
It was just the worst. And then it ended up being okay, though, because my uncle got me one to make up for it, and someone else got it, because everyone heard the story. This was like a big, big deal.
Yeah.
So I ended up having 2 Optimus Primes.
Oh, nice.
So I was okay with that. But my lord, seeing him fall, it was just,
That's
it was
heartbreaking.
horrible.
That's heartbreaking, yeah.
And then the other thing that comes to mind, and this is just such it's a video thing that people that know editing video
fuck.
anyone that does, it's just like it's a school project, and it was like my biggest project I've ever done. It's days and days of editing, no nights like sleep, just I'm doing this thing. And this is back in the days where you didn't have editing programs. You had Windows Movie Maker, and like you had a Windows XP. If that thing even exported, you're fucking lucky. And I hit export. It took like 2 days to get through.
Yeah.
And it got to 99%. And I'll never forget this. An AIM message pops up from this girl. One of those girls that you just are like, literally anyone else on my buddy list I want to IM me. Not this one. Her fucking name pops up and it just says, "Hey, want to hear about my day?" And then a message just pops up. Windows Movie Maker has crashed. And I'm just like, I haven't spoke to her since. Fuck you. Do I want to hear about your day? You just ruined my life.
Jesus.
Did you export again, or was there no time?
I had to.
Okay.
And like it just
Did
took
you
another,
turn
like,
off
2
aim
days.
this time?
Oh,
Because
it
that
did.
seems like that would have been a
Yeah.
smart move for the
I mean, I just, I didn't think about that.
I know.
But
There was once where Poe and I were playing NHL 90 whatever, and we were doing the thing where we would play these sports games, and actually we'd pick different teams and play our entire seasons or whatever. So there'd be a lot of waiting and stuff. And so we're getting ready to go into the playoffs, and I was in charge of the Blackhawks or whatever, and I played this last game. And fucking, I think we had like 2 hat tricks. It was some ass whooping we just laid on these guys. So this is when they like introduced like people are coming out and they're hot, so they're gonna be hot going into the playoffs. And I'm like, fuck yeah! And like as I'm finishing this game, there's a thunderstorm like rolling into the suburb in Chicago, and it's like crackling lightning and stuff. And we're like, fuck, the power is gonna go out, guaranteed. This is, you can already see the wind kicking up, trees are going, and it was the same thing of like 96, 98, 90, lightning bolt, everything's off. And then we had to wait for like an hour and a half to see the power come back on to see if it had like saved in time, and it hadn't. And I had to play the game again. Everybody came out cold. We were bounced the first round of the playoffs. I was so mad.
man,
That reminds me of I can't believe I didn't bring this up. This was actually a really traumatic, not trivial thing to have, like where I really lost my mind. I was
with that kid in your room?
Oh no, that was when I was younger. When I was in 10th grade, I had a computer in my room, and I just left it on all the time. And I had my own 56K like line or whatever. Like my dad gave me my own phone line, so I would stop being on the internet all the time. But just maybe like rooting his phone calls. But then I would play games where I'd see how long I can stay on the internet, like 60 days at a time. Sometimes.
What did that cost him? Like $1 million a year?
That's another story where I accidentally started calling Deer Park on Long Island instead of the place closer to us, and I ran up a $700 phone bill. And my dad and I went up to. I was in Boston, and my dad, my dad called me. And he's like, "What did you do?" And I'm like, "What are you talking about? What did I do?" I remember I was watching playoff hockey, and he's like, "I got a $700 phone bill from whoever the fuck our phone company was. I don't even know, Verizon or whoever the fuck it is on the line." And I'm like, I got really upset and like started crying and stuff, and was like really scared that my dad was gonna like fucking kill me. And he ended up calling them and being like, it was a mistake. He was calling the wrong number, and they totally like eradicated the entire bill. But the thunderstorms, it's fun. I went to a place called 112 Video that used to exist to go rent like a PlayStation 1 game or something. And it was a thunderstorm, and I left my computer on, and I got back, and the power didn't go out, but it hit phone lines and surged my modem.
Oh no.
I remember
Like
those
my
days.
internal modem, and I had to all we had was like laying around still was like an external 14.4 modem or something, and that was like my cousin's like 10 years ago, and I couldn't even get it to work through a parallel port, and I like didn't have the internet in my room for like months, and I almost like lost my mind. Like, and this was in like 1999 where like people didn't really have the internet. in
That's
the room.
something, man, I haven't thought
Yeah.
about in forever. Same thing. Thunderstorms running through, go unplug the internet from the computer. Like,
my
you know
God,
what I
yeah.
mean? Because
Holy
like we
shit.
didn't have surge protectors that had, because eventually they made surge protectors you could plug
For
the
your-
internet
yeah.
into or the phone line into. But yeah, that wasn't a thing obviously when it first started. I remember that being a huge
Yeah, and
deal.
I was crestfallen. I was like so devastated because I was so used to having this. I was living the high life in 1998, 1999, 97 when I had the internet in my room. No one had the fucking internet.
Are you kidding me? If I
Like,
fuck,
and-
if I had internet in my room, I never would have left.
I was looking at like I was just looking at fucking porn and just doing whatever.
Oh my
the fuck
god,
I
they would have had
was
to pry me out of my own hand
Yeah.
to get me out of that fucking place.
doing. And I was just on AIM all day. I remember I used to like mouse over my AIM name and see how long I was online. It was like 27 days and 7 hours. I was like, ha. And I'll never. I was so fucking depressed. I remember that, and I ended up just getting a new computer eventually, but it was awful. It was an awful thing. It hurts even talking about it.
Yeah. The last story I got, and this is a horrible story, but this is a combination first world problem / this is a real problem. So it fits the topic, and it
Okay.
also does not fit the topic. But my brother got stabbed a couple years ago, and things were really bad. It was very traumatic. All of that was a horrible.
That's the real part.
That's the real
part.
part.
Okay.
And it was
This isn't
horrible.
trivial.
No, this was the real shit. But he went to the hospital, and like they're handling shit, and he was fine. Like, I mean, they were taking care of him. I knew he was okay and whatever. And what was done's done. Rewind a bit to earlier that day when my little brother walks into my room and goes, "Hey, I'm going to go see my friend. Can I wear your shirt?"
Ah.
And I'm like, "You mean my favorite shirt?" "Yeah, just, be cool." And he's like, "All right." Then,
Stab
like,
through the shirt.
Later that night, I was thinking, I remember being in bed and I was like, tripping about this whole thing, and I stopped and I was like, "Oh, my shirt. Oh no." And I remember seeing him, and he's just laying there in this blood-covered fucking shirt, fucking hole in it. And I'm just like, "I hate you so much." He's like, he was so, first thing I see him, he's like, "I'm so sorry, dude. I'm so sorry." I'm like, "Dude, it's fucking fine, but I hate you." Yeah, my favorite shirt.
What do you
Son
get
of a
stabbed
bitch.
for?
He's my brother. He likes to,
He talks shit.
He talks shit, gets stabbed. It's like a whole thing. Yeah, but
He's
fuck
my
him.
brother.
Yeah.
Tim,
Yes.
what's your topic?
So my topic is spurred from an experience I had recently in a supermarket where I was walking and I was buying some stuff.
As you do.
It was Target. I was
Okay.
buying some stuff in Target,
That can be
which
a
is now a
super target.
supermarket.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I was at the little cash register thing, and my eye was caught by Cosmopolitan
Oh, Cosmo.
next to a Maxim,
Oh, Max.
and I was like, "Huh." They get me every time. And I just had this realization that like every single time I walk by this, I look at it. They're the masters of thumbnails and headlines.
Oh, sure.
Right?
Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
just like, I need to know. What are the 8 tips for better sex?
Yeah.
Like, I don't think I can have sex again until I know these things.
Right.
And also just their images are just so
Provocative.
provocative, like eye-catching, all this stuff. And it really made me think, when did this start for me? Like, when was the first time that these things were so enticing to me that I'm like, I will stop what I'm doing in public and look at this cover right now?
Sure.
You know?
Sure.
So my question is to you guys: what are the moments that you realized you were a sexual creature, and what are your kind of memories with that, and what are your maximum memories?
I think I've just kind of always known.
Seriously though,
I don't know. I can't remember. I can't pinpoint a moment. I mean, my mom used to tell me stories about how when we were at the public pool. This is before my parents decided to pony up the dollars to get a pool, which I think probably fundamentally changed me forever. But we used to go to the Riverside pool, and my mom would always catch me trying, like, offering to put suntan lotion on girls. Not like girls my age, like teenagers, like girls. I was like, "Hey, I'm just here. I'm just letting you know if you need like your back, whatever. I'm here. I'm good for that." And my mom would be like, well, "A, you're wearing a Speedo." There's this little shit kid running around in a Speedo, tan as fuck, because we were always outside. Because my mom's like, the heat will keep them from running faster, and she was right, because the heat in Riverside is really depressing. But yeah, I mean, I just remember thinking that. I don't know if I was actually there was a sexual attraction or anything like that, but I do distinctively remembering that right around the time I do think it was porn. I think it was like the first time someone showed me a Playboy. I was like, "What up?" well, like I've seen these things in real life forever, but like this thing's really painting it in the correct light for me for some reason. Like my buddy, you'd always have the dad, like my buddy's dad is like, he's Playboy.
Yeah.
You're like, what's a Playboy? That doesn't sound like something I'd be into because it's got
Kevin's
the word
dad.
boy and
It was Kevin's dad.
Yeah. And I remember, like, I think it was my buddy, I don't know what her name is, but that lived around the block. We used to carpool all the time together, and I would always, he'd be the guy that, like, if my parents weren't coming home or they had to work or whatever, I'd go to his house, hang out, and then, my mom's gonna be home in like 5 minutes. I just gonna run home and act like I was there the whole time. But his dad was always the one that was like, had the fucking, like, the drawer in the closet where you were like, what's it going to be today? And it was always something disgusting. And that's how you kind of just, I think that's how every boy discovers their sexuality in America. It's just like through like back channel fucking seedy instances, right?
Our guy stole his brother's magazines, their Playboys or Penthouses. And I remember he brought them to like the woods or whatever, as it always is.
The woods, that's right.
If you have woods, forest preserves, anything, that's where all this shady ass shit goes down. But yeah, I remember him going there, and I forget what we traded to get our own magazines or whatever and bring them home. But I remember totally like that. I remember that, and we were too young. You know what I mean? That was something we knew we eventually needed to be wanting, but we didn't want them yet. If that makes sense, you know what I mean? Like we just had these damn things.
No, that was what I was gonna say was that I remember going. So where I grew up on the island, my best friend when I was a kid had an older brother. He was a year older than me, and his older brother, he had two brothers that were 2 years older than 2 years older. So I was like really close with that family, and I think I was growing up a little quicker because I was with like guys that were a little older than me. And they used to go steal their dad's Playboy like all the time. Like their Playboys like just go into the bedroom, like, which is like obvious as the day as long as we were doing this. And but that was the thing was I remember doing it and looking at them and being like, all right, like it was more like the fear and like the exhilaration of stealing this thing and seeing something that you're not supposed to do. It's like the way I used to feel when I watched Beavis and Butthead, where it's like, you know, like I'm just not supposed to be doing this and this is exciting. But eventually, like I remember, like it was like 7th or 8th grade when you're younger, you think girls are pretty. You don't really understand what that means, or it's not a sexual thing to you when you're a kid. It's like, oh, this girl's pretty, or this, like I used to love like Cindy Crawford, when I was a kid, when I was in the late 80s, early 90s. It wasn't because I like wanted to have sex with Cindy Crawford. I didn't even know what that meant. I just thought Cindy Crawford was really pretty.
Sure.
You know what I mean? But like when you get older, you realize that there's like way more dynamic. There's a way more dynamic aspect to this. And I remember, I mean, not to be gross, but I remember like not really knowing like what a girl's vagina even was. Even after looking at these magazines, like I kind of flipped through them quick. Like I'd kind of be nervous about it. And like when you really like sat and looked at like a Playboy model's vagina, and you're like, what the fuck is that? And then like you start
it's a complex thing down
there.
there.
And then you're like, and then you just it's slowly. I feel like it was 7th or 8th grade when I really. Probably more like 8th grade when I was really like, all right, like
I understand
I'm a sexual being now. It's in some respect. Don't know what I'm doing. Don't know what it means. But like, there's more to this than the girl is pretty.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? There's more to. And then when you're in high school, all bets are off. You could have taken my sheets when I was in high school and just dropped it, and it would have shattered like glass.
That was the interesting thing of like having the conversations with your friends of like I remember late junior high, right before high school, where we were talking about like masturbating, but like not in not in the shameful way of just honestly talking about this of like, are you masturbating yet? Like somebody asked us, and we were like, not really. We don't. He's like, I'm using a pillow. I'm doing that, and it's we like, but it was like this totally unabashed, not ashamed conversation. It was like, what's
I don't know
happening?
what the fuck's going on.
It was so weird the way some people did it, right? Like,
yeah. Oh yeah.
Some people use baseball gloves and stuff like that, and I was like, what?
Yeah.
That's so weird.
People get nuts, man.
I realized when I was younger, I make Cheryl laugh about this because she's like, I'm like, there's just certain rules that guys learn at some point. I'm like, rule number 1, no shampoo, no soap. And everyone learns that the hard way, and you will learn it, and you will never use those again, even though the shower
It took me about 6-7 times. So I was like, nah, let's try that. There it is. Because it just makes sense while it's happening.
Yeah.
It's just the aftermath. Oh, that thunderstorm that's coming. I'm with you, though, because I remember thinking, I think when I was in 5th grade, I had a crush on a girl. And I ended up, like, quote-unquote, dating, whatever the fuck that means when you're in 5th, 6th grade.
Sure.
Dating that girl. She lived in the neighborhood. You would do that thing where you'd, like, I'd, like, rollerblade over to her house or whatever. I did. I would rollerblade over and be like, is she there? Whatever. You couldn't call her. I didn't have her number. And even if I did, there's no way I was mustering up the cojones to actually deal with talking to a parent at that age. But I do remember that a large fascination, not fascination, but a big component of that was just sort of that I liked her. It had nothing to do with sexuality.
right,
It wasn't sex. It wasn't that I was like, I'm going to get in this girl's pants. I had an attraction to her just because I was like, this girl is special to me. She makes me feel good. I just want to be around her more. It's more of a romantic affection than it was anything sexual. And I think it wasn't until I got into probably like junior high and I experienced for the first time a girl's attention that I didn't necessarily romantically care for. That was, I think, when I was like, oh, there's a different side to this where there was just a purely physical, purely sexual, I guess, side to this that I didn't even know, because up until that point, I'd always like, I had a girl that I was like, I like this girl a lot, and we're just spend time together. We hold hands, maybe we kiss. It'd be amazing if we kiss, but I'm not gonna, I'm not gonna like go on a limb.
That's what I was gonna say. Is because like I used to go out with girls.
Sure.
Like you go out with kind of thing, like 5th grade, 6th grade, 7th grade, and I had like girlfriends, like different girlfriends. That it was like totally like but even
you held hands.
Yeah, like you held hands or like went to the movies and like even. Like I kissed, like I had my first kiss with one of these girls, whatever, and I was like, there was like nothing about that at all, other than that, like it was the kiss, like that's what you're supposed to do, like Kevin Arnold and Winnie Cooper.
It felt really weird. It was
but like by the time like you're in high school, it's so funny how like 5 years makes all of the difference. By the time I was in high school, like just any guy and girl, everyone kind of discovers their sexuality, I think, fully when you're in that age range, probably. It's very different, and then when you get into college.
Yeah.
It's really
Middle school
different.
is about finding out that you have questions. High school is about trying to answer those questions. And then college is just kind of like
looking online for the
figuring
answer
out
to those questions.
every other option.
It's trying to find questions to answer your answers. That
is accurate.
Shout out though to Maxim covers. Because you brought this topic up, and I was like, what is my first Maxim that I distinctly remember having in my room, like having on my own? And you want to know what it is?
What?
It's terrible. It's Laura Flynn Boyle from The Practice. Remember this?
She was hot.
She was super hot. It's like you think Maxim. I don't think Laura Flynn Boyle.
I had a big thing for I love The Practice.
December 1999. Oh, I loved The Practice too. And these pictures, I'll show you these pictures.
That was a great show.
Look at this lady. She had it going on. She knew what she was doing over here. I remember these Maxim photo shoots.
Oh yeah, dude. Laura Flynn Boyle was hot.
Yeah, Laura Flynn Boyle's super hot, but it's just like it's funny because like
she's
I
hot,
remember
dude.
the Britney Spears one, the Christina Aguilera.
So Christina Aguilera was mine.
But like Laura Flynn Boyle is the one I had, and I remember
She looks like she's 60 years old in that picture, but these other
she
ones
had
are
this.
good.
Well, Jack Nicholson's rubbing off on her back then. I had this one. She was the cover model. That was her whole thing. And I remember at the back there was like one of those Maxim things about like going out in New York or what. I don't fucking remember what it was about, but it's one of those. Remember, had like fashion shoots at the end, with, like people, and they had this blonde woman model or whatever. I remember, and like her final shot in that like whatever going on in the town thing was her going upstairs, them shooting from down below, and her having to pull her skirt down. And I was like, that is fucking so hot. You know what I mean? And like you're trying to process all of this. You know what I mean? It was like so weird.
For me, it was a Christina Aguilera. It was 2003, probably, like around the time that
Dirty.
The Dirty. She was like dressed like that in the Dirty,
that-
and she was in like this like inner
Game
tube
changer.
thing.
Yep, I remember
that
this
was
one.
like
Distinctly remember this one.
everyone in
I
middle
know,
school
I
was
know.
like,
I know that
holy
video. I was in
shit.
college when that video came out. And I know that
and
video.
that was
like,
just
oh
such a
my
game
God.
changer. And then a couple months later, Jessica Alba did a Maxim shoot.
Yeah,
and I
for
just
sure.
remember that.
Was
That
she
was like,
on the
everyone stop
water?
what you're doing. Huh?
Was
It
there
she was on
water
the beach.
involved?
She was on the beach.
Ugh.
And it's just like, it didn't make sense. But yeah, I mean, I've said this before, but like, I feel like my first sexual awakening was Idle Hands.
Yeah.
Seeing her, I'm just like, holy shit. Because the Pink Ranger, I thought she was pretty.
Right, exactly.
You know?
Exactly.
But
That's what I felt
then-
about DJ Tanner. Yeah.
But then,
I got a lot of questions for you on that one. That's
then
okay.
the Pink Ranger, I had a sexual thought about in Susie Q in the Disney movie that I talked about, where she like is like getting into her prom dress, and that's when I was like, oh, I had that moment where I'm like, I don't just think you're pretty, like I'm a man.
Yeah,
I'm a man.
I wanna
Pink
know.
Ranger has
I
made
wanna
me
know
a
what else
man
you
and
got.
Susie Q.
I had a huge crush on DJ when I was a kid.
Candace Cameron?
Yeah, like but,
You
like
had a crush, like as
She was the girl next door.
from a sexual standpoint, or just
No, it
you
was
wanted
in
to?
the
Okay.
early '90s. I thought she was pretty.
She was pretty.
I mean, it was the same thing when we were talking about with Al from
House.
Step by Step. From Step by Step.
Damn it, right.
Yeah, she was cute.
Christine.
where Christine Lincoln, when
Yeah.
she came here, I had a huge crush on her, but like
Yeah.
it wasn't. It was like I just thought she was really pretty,
Yeah,
especially in
sure.
the later episodes, like where she wasn't so tomboy
Yeah,
up or
yeah,
whatever. All three of them were fantastic. All three daughters, but yeah, I think there's just different echelons based on your age, where you don't. Dating a girl when you're a 12-year-old is different than dating a girl when you're 16. Is different than dating a girl when you're 21. Having a crush on a girl when you're 8 or 9 doesn't mean anything like compared to having a crush on a girl when you're 12 compared to 14. You know,
Sure.
I think these things just evolve. It's very complicated. It's funny too because I don't know about you guys, but I always had this assumption that my parents were unique in that they just pretended that nothing was happening. Like they just pretended like nope, none of this is like none of this is happening.
You just keep hearing glass breaking upstairs, and they don't know why, but it's your sheets.
But like, and I always assumed that like my friends were having these deep conversations about sex and sexuality and stuff, and like I was like missing out on something. And then I realized like no one was having those conversations. Like my parents never talked to me about fucking anything. I had to figure out all of that stuff, and I don't blame them. I'm glad they didn't. They damn well knew that I was figuring that out on my own. You know,
Right.
they're not. That's the other thing too is you think you're getting like one over on your parents. Like I dated a girl for a couple years in high school. She was my girlfriend. I used to have her over, and like we would just go upstairs or whatever like that, and I'd be like, oh, my dad has no idea like we're making out on my bed or whatever like that. And my dad's like, oh, fucking idiot. He just doesn't want to deal with it.
Yeah.
He's like, I can't.
It's not worth it.
He's like, I just don't even want. Like I know in his head he was like. Every once in a while, he would like come upstairs or like call me down,
Jiggle a
Just-
doorknob or something and be like, hey, Colin.
Oh,
and,
no,
and
see,
I told you when I was in college, the last time I left home in 2005, I had a lot of girlfriends in college. And not like girlfriends, but girls that were friends. Yeah. And they would come over or whatever. My dad started getting really mad, like, because they would come down to Long Island to hang out. People like to just come to the island so they go to the beaches and stuff. And so they were there and they would come out. And eventually she's like, what do you do? Like, why do you have all these girls coming over and stuff like that? And I'm like, Dad, relax. Like, I think I wish I was cool, as cool as you think I am. But, but I'm not.
Yeah.
Oh man. I actually, well, I mean, but that's the thing. You had an older brother growing up, though, right?
Yeah, but he was 11 years older than me. But he went to college by the time I was in 4th grade. So
yeah, my brother was only 5 years older than me, and so
younger than that, even 2nd grade, actually. Sorry.
okay, yeah. So that was the perfect age to sort of start witnessing some of that stuff. Way too early for me.
Yeah.
Like Matt would throw parties, and like my parents would go out of town. He'd throw parties and have his girlfriends come over or whatever, and I would just get to be a fly on the wall in these high schoolers' lives when I was like barely in. Geez, I must have been like when he was a freshman in high school. I was in 4th grade, 5th grade, maybe.
Jeez Louise.
And so just kind of sitting there, seeing him at 16 just start driving and being able to kind of be in the back seat when it was him and his girlfriend and like all of their friends would be like congregating at a place and my mom would be out of town. She'd be like, you gotta watch your brother. I'd be like, yes, like this is gonna be awesome.
Yeah.
And it wasn't
some cool stuff.
Yeah, it wasn't even from just like a I get to take part in it. It was just like, this is what grown-ups are. Because remember when you were
a
like
teen movie that you're watching.
Yeah. You know, when you were like, because you look back now and everyone under the age of 30 to me just looks super young. Like, I can't tell the difference between a 19-year-old and a fucking 12-year-old. You're all just young. But you know what I mean? Like,
Got him into sticky situations.
well, thank God I'm married. But when you're like 10, a fucking 16-year-old is like, I mean, they might as well be fucking running for president.
Exactly.
They're so old, right?
Especially your brother. Yeah.
Oh, especially my brother, right? So all of his friends were like smoking and driving and like having sex, and it was like not a big deal. I was having sex, not a big deal. I was like, it's not a big deal. So this gives me so much anxiety. I'm not supposed to like be scared of this. I don't understand. So yeah, it was fascinating watching that happen. And then of course, my brother got into college and joined a fraternity, and it was like, holy shit! I thought you were dangerous in high school, but now there's a whole other like bigger playing field for you. So I got a little bit of that, but it actually pushed me the opposite way, because watching him kind of explore that side of him made me go more toward the romance side. So I didn't have sex till a much later age, much later than I should have.
How old were you?
I was 21.
21, wow.
Yeah, when I had sex. I didn't have sex till like midway through college. I'd done everything else under the sky, but I had this weird part of me that was like, I need to actually care about the person I'm having sex with.
I respect that.
For the first time.
I had this weird thing.
Then it died. Nick never had that again.
No, I don't care about it anymore.
I cared. I mean, I was 16, but I cared about the girl that I didn't.
I was 21 as well.
Yeah, I was like, I had, it just had worked out sort of 40-year-old virgin style, where I had dated a bunch of girls that were very sexually active, and I was like, oh, cool, this is going to be my first maybe sexual partner, and I just wasn't into them like that, and I was like, I'm going to feel really bad if I have sex with this person, because I kind of want to break up with her, and I don't want to be that guy that like hit it and quit it. I just didn't want to treat people like that, and so I didn't. I went a really long time, and then when I hit college, freshman year is when I gained a ton of weight, and so it became very hard for me to like. I was always the funny guy that was like, "Oh, Nick's so funny. You're such a good friend," and I was like, "Fuck, how do I get out of this position?" And I was like, "I gotta lose weight," and it took me forever to do that. So I think by like junior, senior years, when someone finally was like, "I think you're really cool and like special and fun. I don't care how much you weigh," and I was like, "Cool, let's keep the lights off," and we had sex.
God damn.
So she knew that you were a virgin when she had sex with you?
Yeah, she was too, which actually was nice.
Oh, interesting.
Well, she was a lot younger than I was. I think I was like a junior and she was like a freshman. But you know, it was fine. She was like
A lot younger.
A lot younger.
But that's the thing, though.
Yeah,
It
it
is
feels
a lot
like
younger.
feels. Yeah, I know.
Speaking of the age difference, like, I remember I was really young in Summer Sanders.
Oh,
on
Summer Sanders.
Nickelodeon.
Hot.
I was like, I want to marry someone like that. Like, that's what I want to marry.
Summer Sanders was hot on Nickelodeon. Then she was hot on NBA Inside Stuff. Remember when she did that show?
Inside stuff. Yeah, with the Madra shot. How can I forget?
That was after the Nickelodeon stuff. Yeah,
Oh,
and she's doing a show now. I just saw it when I was in the airport like a few times
Really?
ago. Yeah, she's doing
I wonder
like
what
some
she's
sort of
up
like
to.
quiz show or something. I'm like, Summer Sanders, you look so good.
God bless you.
God bless
Damn,
you,
Summer Sanders.
Yeah. I remember the last. Sorry, I did
Totally.
the thing.
You ruined it.
There was no natural endpoint there.
That was it right there. I was
Didn't
going to
feel
say,
it. Was it
God bless
natural?
you, Loot Crate.
Oh, that
and
was
I was
good.
going to go right
See,
into
it's a
it.
segue. It's a natural segue.
You suck.
I just want to say the first time that I remember seeing people naked that weren't family members was Titanic.
Oh, yeah.
So
Seeing a big booby on the screen. Yeah.
Yeah, like holy shit. But then I remember the first time I saw like full nakedness was. So do you guys remember those playing cards with naked people
Yeah,
on them?
of course.
Like, what was the deal with those?
People
How
like naked people.
But they were everywhere. Like, I remember you guys were talking about all these playboys in the woods and
woods.
stuff. For me, it was like you couldn't go to a playground or a park or anything without those cards, without finding one in a sandbox or in a freaking tree or
You just
just
had
like,
a bunch of perverts here in San Francisco.
maybe, I
that's
don't
all.
know. Those things were everywhere. I almost collected an entire deck. That's not true.
I will say this to close because it was asking like the first time you saw full nudity. I remember
Yeah.
the first time I saw people having sex, like really paying attention. It was just it's a really hot image. Like I could still see it in my head of like a guy holding a.
This is
like,
in real life?
Yeah, no, not in real life in a
Okay.
magazine.
Okay,
it was
okay,
like
yeah.
it was like some Playboy, and it was like a sex party they were having or something like that. And some girl just had her legs. He was like holding her ass and like had her legs wrapped around him, whatever. And they were just in a corner. And I was like, that is the hottest thing I've ever seen in my life. And I was like, that's what sex is, I guess. Realizing I'm not strong enough to hold a woman like that.
you do, you know. Yeah. You just kind of lay down. It's fine. It takes care of
It's
itself.
hard, Ken. What are you shaking your head at me for?
Kev, we're not all built like you. We're not all built like PK Fire Nest alternates.
PK Fire Nest meets French
Holy
sailor.
Ladies and gentlemen, that topic was brought to you by Loot Crate. As always, Loot Crate, thank you for sponsoring this madness. They say, would you classify yourself as a geek, gamer, or pop culture nerd? Then Loot Crate is a subscription box for you. Loot Crate is a subscription box service with $40 more plus worth of geek, gamer, and pop culture gear, collectibles, apparel, comics, etc. delivered to your mailbox every month. Make sure you head over to lootcrate.com/kindafunny and enter the code kindafunny to save $3 on any new subscription. Tim,
Yes.
would you like to know what the theme is?
Of course I do.
They say, call forth some hard-hitting companions and get ready to summon an epic Loot Crate. They're celebrating all the monsters you can fit in your pocket and the
Yeah.
ones you need some crazy circle drawing skills to bring to the mortal realm. What does that mean?
The circle drawing?
Is that D&D or is that some kind of game that's like Digimon-y now?
Yeah, I don't know.
Well,
They're definitely talking about Pokemon.
I mean that drawing a circle like a pentagram or whatever is a way you summon
That's just
monsters
it.
in witchcraft, or summon summon things in witchcraft, or at least and that's in video games and stuff too.
Okay. This month's crate features an exclusive collectible they're told is, quote, the most important object in pretty much the whole universe, plus awesome items from Blizzard, Kid Robot, and more. Of course, you already know Loot Crate. It's basically this friend who knows you, sends you all these cool things. They shipped over 13 different countries, and you have until the 19th at 9 p.m. Pacific to subscribe and receive this month's crate. When it's over, so don't miss it. Go to lootcrate.com/kindafunny and enter the code kindafunny to save $3 on your new subscription today.
I'm excited to see what's in this one. I want it.
You think it'll be a Pokemon? You like Pokemon a
I
lot.
think it's some Pokemans.
When it came to mind for me was summons was like Final Fantasy and like summoning monsters.
Yeah.
I thought like a court summons.
Oh,
like
like
you open it up
oh,
and
those
it's just
are
you've
super
been,
fun.
You've just been
It's
summoned
just
to
a guy.
go.
Those are my favorite.
A guy in a Loot Crate shirt knocks on your door. Is like, "You've been served," and then just hands you the wall.
Damn it!
You gotta go be on a jury.
Ladies and gentlemen, this has been the Game Over Greggy Show. Each and every week, 4, sometimes 5 best friends gather on this table, each bringing a random topic of discussion for your amusement. If you like that, head over to patreon.com/kindafunny. Throw us a few bucks and get every episode early. If you don't have any bucks to throw, no big deal. Head over to youtube.com/kindafunny where we break it up topic by topic, day by day, until we post the entire show Friday as a full MP3 and, of course, video. Gentlemen,
Yes.
I'm glad we're here.
Me too.
I'm glad we're home for a while. I'm glad you guys aren't sick anymore. On cue, Portillo. Until next time, it's been our pleasure to serve you.
And for all the people.
Nope, I said it's
You
over. That's
can't
how
end
the
it.
show
You
ends.
can't end there, Greg. Because all the people out there
hot.
that subscribe to us on Patreon at the level that they get the thank you on screen, They need to know that next week they're going to be thanked.
Yeah, because we were
So
supposed
they
to
should
do it
come
this
back.
week.
Yeah, we messed
supposed
that
to
up.
do it
But it's
this
okay.
week.
I'm letting them know
All right.
so that they can come back next week and see their pretty names. Oh, here. And if you want your name there.
I mean, we could have just done it right there. You could have, right, bam, it's happening.
No, but the
No,
problem
it's-
is,
it's-
I don't think
Okay,
it's
so
gonna last
take it
that
off,
long.
Kevin. Take it off.
So come back next week. It's going to be a grand old time.